Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Casual Columnist. As always, I'm Simon, I'm your host, and today, joined by occasional special guest, my co-host, my wonderful sister Charlotte. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Ready to get started on the kidnapping of Zephany Nurse.
Yeah.
I read this and I wasn't sure whether it was like she was a nurse,
Same.
some sort of Zephany Nurse. And I'm like, what's a Zephany Nurse? And why has she been kidnapped? But it's her name.
Indeed.
I am going to read it. You're going to help me analyze it. If you're new, if you're new here, even if you've not seen me and Charlotte do a show before, she is a psychologist, which is kind of useful when you do a true crime show because I'll have questions that are extremely ignorant. Like, what does this mean? Why is this person like this? Why are they so fucked up? And Charlotte will be like, well, it's interesting because of this. And I'm like, oh, okay, good.
And for starters, we don't call them fucked up.
Depends how fucked up they are.
A sliding scale.
Yes. You haven't done an episode about Pedro Lopez. I'll get into it. I can see you. Jump in whenever you want. I'll ask you questions. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Let's go.
Great.
'28th of April, 1997. Mornay and Celeste Nurse. Have you ever known anyone with the surname Nurse, by the way?
No,
it's quite specific, isn't it? Well, they welcomed their firstborn daughter into the world, but just 2 days later, little Zephany was stolen from her mother's bedside. Now I feel bad making jokes about that in the first sentence, where her baby's been stolen. So, fantastic start there. The photos of her parents had taken to celebrate her birth ended up on the front covers of newspapers, magazines, and missing posters. And the story of her disappearance ended up defining who her parents became in the years that followed. The problem with taking baby photos, a missing baby photo, is babies kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Don't they? I've had two babies. They kind of look the same. They're all squidgy. They got their fat little faces.
Yeah. And you know what's funny with Apple? It identifies the person. Even though I've tried to go through it still confuses my two sons. So I'll be looking through and it still gets them confused. Which shows
I feel
how similar they are.
I should have tags for generic baby. Then Zephany stumbled back into their lives by pure chance. Okay. And her story once again made news headlines. But behind the cameras and exclusive news interviews were two families who were struggling to adapt to their new reality, and a young girl who had to decide who she actually was. Zephany Nurse, whose family had spent 17 years looking for her, or Miche, the beloved daughter of a woman who'd stolen her. Oh my God, that's super complicated because you're a baby, you're not going to know. But you think this person is your mum, but she nicked you.
This is a really interesting story.
Wow, okay. Oh yeah, by the way, you've read it before. I haven't read it yet, so extra insight. Okay, Mornay and Celeste hadn't exactly planned on becoming parents. When they met back in 1996, Celeste was 17 and Mornay was 18. And 3 months later, Celeste found out that she was pregnant. She was still in high school, but reportedly told her new boyfriend that she wanted to keep the baby, and he agreed. So their two families planned a wedding for the young couple, and Mornay and Celeste got married in January 1997. After the wedding, they moved into a house in Retreat, which is located on the Cape Flats. Oh, this is taking place in South Africa. Okay. And didn't know that, but it is a script from Emma, who is in South Africa, so I could have put that together, I suppose. And then started to get everything ready for the baby. According to Mornay, quote, "We're well prepared. We were going all the way. I mean, this is my firstborn, and I'm looking forward to every bit of her, On the 25th of April, 1997, Celeste started having contractions, so she grabbed a hospital bag and they drove to Retreat Day Hospital. She was in active labor for more than 2 days. Woo! That's no fun.
No.
But when nothing happened, the doctors performed a scan and explained that the baby was in breach. Don't they normally find that out before you start giving birth?
Yeah, but I guess back in the past, they probably didn't do as frequent scans. And I guess some babies can.
It's only 1997. Jesus Christ, make me feel very old.
But still, sadly, it's quite a long time ago.
No, don't say that. It's only 20. Is it 20 years ago? No, it's 30 years ago. Okay. No, I understand. It's like over a quarter of a century. Fine. No scans. Baby's in breach. They wait 2 days before they're like, maybe we should do some surgery. I'd be in labor for like 14 minutes and be like, cut it out. Cut it out now. I'm done. The doctors then told Celeste and Mornay that they were going to have to perform an emergency C-section. There we go, about time. But because they were only a day hospital, they didn't have the necessary facilities available. So Celeste was loaded into the back of an ambulance and they rushed her to the world-renowned Group Sure Hospital in Cape Town. If you don't know, it's where the world's first heart transplant took place back in December 1967. I know this because the day I was born, there was something about this. It was like but I was born in May 1987. But I have the newspaper from the day you're born.
Yeah.
And it has something about this heart transplant surgery taking place at this hospital. I can't remember what it's about. I should read it when I get home. But I remember there being something about this, so I knew about this.
Oh, there we go.
Their daughter, Zephany Nurse, was born on the 28th of April 1997. According to Mornay, he initially felt overwhelmed at the thought that he was now a father at 19 years old. As you should.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine?
So I guess he must have finished school, but she was still in school. But yeah, still, it's so young. Like, you're barely an adult.
I don't think you're really an adult. I don't think when does your brain actually stop cooking? It's like your late 20s, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, so like 25, especially sort of that front part of our brain, and the brain kind of develops more slowly kind of for boys and men than it does for women. But, the brain is always...
Yeah, you bet it does.
We see that time and time again. But yes, it continues to kind of grow and change throughout our lives and develop.
Yeah, I feel that. And little tangent. It was like I was listening to some podcast. I think it was with like Warren Buffett or some like really old dude who'd done a bunch of stuff. And he was saying like how he feels so different at 90 than he did at 80. And I'm like, wait, don't you kind of like settle down at some point? And you're like, well, no, because and every 10 years that go by, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm quite a different person than I was when I was like 20, 28. Definitely a different person at 18 than when I was 28. And so why would it be different between 38 and 48 or 48 and 58? And this was kind of what Warren or whoever it was talking about. And I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense. You do change a lot. You learn a lot of shit.
Yeah. But was he saying it positively? Because I guess when we think about aging, we often think about it negatively and like we're just constantly declining. But it's not always the case, is it? And it's really nice. There's like messages of hope there, I guess, that kind of it's not all downhill.
I guess so. Although you could probably, talk to Warren Buffett at 108 and he'll be like,
but 19, he was going strong.
It's going great. Okay. Anyway, we've got a quote from old Mornay here. I say old Mornay, I mean very young Mornay. It was heaven. She had a lot of hair. She was very white. The feeling that I had was, I can't believe this. This is a miracle. Well, it's not a miracle, Mornay. It's called birth. I mean, this happened before. It happened to you, Mornay. You've literally been the baby. Not that long ago, Mornay, in fact. You probably still remember it. They dressed Zephany in some warm clothes, took photos of her and Celeste, and the young family spent those first 2 days bonding with their newborn daughter. But Celeste was still in a lot of pain. Her entire body ached from being in labor for more than 2 days, and now she'd had a C-section cut as well, so on the morning of the 30th of April 1997, she asked the nurses to give her more painkillers to help manage the pain. Got a quote from her. The nurse gave me some morphine. Hell yeah. Oh, I was on morphine when I went to have I broke my shoulder. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Like a few years ago. And I was in hospital. I was on morphine. It makes you, or like it was like one of these opiate drugs. It made me feel so sick. I was like, please. I know it hurts, but it just made me so nauseous. I was like, can I just have some paracetamol or something? And they were like, nope, schedule says morphine. And I'm like, it was just like so sick.
Surely
and then eventually I got off the morphine and got onto Sorry,
I was going to say, normally I'm sure it's probably the opposite. Like people are on paracetamol, they're like, can I have some morphine? And you're like, no, enough of the morphine. Give me paracetamol.
And they kept being like, can we take you to some x-rays now? And I'm like, if you want me to throw up all over the hospital, yes, you could take me to some x-rays now.
Oh gosh, that sounds so grim.
Anyway, sorry. So she's on morphine. The quote continues. I heard the baby cry and I saw the nurse come in and she asked me, can I pick the baby up? And I said, yes, it's fine. You can pick the baby up. And I watched them leave. and I fell asleep again. It's not a nurse, it's a woman dressed in a nurse, and she's coming and nicked that baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know how it was when you gave birth, but here they were so intense about like keeping track of the babies. Like as soon as the baby is born, they draw a big number on its chest.
No.
And then yeah. So they use like a marker pen or whatever to draw like 12 or whatever on the baby. And then I had a bracelet saying 12. My wife had a bracelet saying 12. And whenever they gave the baby back to you or took the baby away, they'd check the bracelet to match the number of the baby.
You're joking, surely.
Did you not have this? No, I'm totally not joking. This is how they make sure that the babies go to the right people so they don't get swapped. I thought it was quite clever.
Because I guess I've had one baby in England and one in the Middle East. They didn't do that in either places.
I thought it was quite a clever solution. I'd never heard of it before, but...
No, it makes sense. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because you think, actually... Well, abducting a baby is very rare, but I guess we never really know how common it is for babies to get swapped.
Well, we do have some idea now because people do the DNA tests. And they're like, guys, why did you never tell me I'm adopted? And then it's like, you're not adopted. And it turns out that they were like swapped at birth for some other kid. And you're like,
Oh, gosh. Yeah, crazy. Well, at least you know that definitely hasn't happened for you.
That's true. The number thing. Yeah, it's pretty good. Unless it was like a 9 and we got swapped with a 6 or something, there's the wrong way around. They put the bracelet on wrong. Yeah, they did draw the line underneath the 6, so you don't know. Not long after the nurse took Zephany, another nurse from the maternity ward came in, shook Celeste awake and repeatedly asked her where her baby was. Celeste explained that another nurse had taken Zephany away, but the nurse told her that Zephany wasn't in the nursery. Quoting the mother again, and then she says, "Where is the nurse? Where is the baby?" When Celeste realized that someone had taken Zephany, she reportedly ripped the drip from her arm and searched every single floor of the hospital looking for the baby. The nurses and some of the other mothers helped as well, and the police were called almost immediately. Almost immediately?
I know, I was shocked by that. Like, come on, guys. What's the hesitation?
I feel like, isn't there some big button that someone slams and then all these gates come down?
Yeah, there should be.
A siren goes off. Right? I remember, and again, coming in and out of the maternity ward in the hospital, they would check you. Like, there was a gate and you'd have to press a buzzer and they'd let you in. You couldn't just wander in and out.
Interesting. Yeah, same in England, actually. Not over here.
Makes sense. Okay, so they're calling the police at some point, eventually. When Mornay arrived at the hospital, the building had been placed under lockdown, and everyone was looking for any sign of the woman who'd stolen Zephany and had gone. According to Mornay, "I just burst in. The cops were with me. I started swearing, and they said, 'Mornay, you have to calm yourself.' I'd be like, 'Shut the fuck up and find my child.' But I lost total control. I wrecked that place completely. Oh, shit. The main image that remains that broke me was when I saw Celeste sitting there crying, pushing people away from her. The police found Zephany's baby blanket, some of her clothes, the baby nest that she had been sleeping in, and a cushion that had been modified to look like a pregnant belly in a tunnel. Oh, I see. Pregnant, not a pregnant belly in a tunnel, but a pregnant belly. They found that in a tunnel that led out of the hospital towards the parking lot. However, CCTV cameras in that particular section of the hospital, they were no longer working, so they didn't have any footage of the events that took place that morning. However, Celeste was able to provide them with a description of the nurse. She was a colored woman who was between the ages of 30 and 40 years old, and she had a round face and a short afro. She was overweight and had been wearing a maroon nurse's uniform. A sketch artist drew up an image of the suspect, and her photo, along with the newly developed photos of baby Zephany, appeared in local newspapers and on national television. But according to Inspector Zaki van der Westhuizen, maybe? A newborn's face changes too much during their first week of life, so the likelihood of someone recognizing Zephany based on her baby photos was slim. Yeah, because they all look the same. They're pudgy faces and stuff. It's like, coochie coo. It's just a baby, It's generic baby. However, they immediately enlisted the help of Mickey Pistorius, South Africa's first criminal profiler. Wait, isn't that famous South African guy who went to prison called Pistorius?
Oscar.
The athlete? Yes, Oscar. Wait, he's without legs, right? He's a Paralympian. And he murdered someone. Did he allegedly?
Allegedly, yes, murdered his, I think she was girlfriend rather than wife, Reva. Steenham? Something like that, maybe. Yeah.
South Africa's first criminal profiler for advice regarding how to track down the woman who'd stolen Zephany. She told the police that women like that often use the baby to manipulate a male figure after a miscarriage. She pretended to be pregnant, and then she needed the baby to continue the ruse. She is very friendly and seemed as if she'd tried to dye her hair blonde. What? So this is just this guy's guess?
Yeah, see, this is the thing. That I don't know how common criminal profiling or criminal profilers are in South Africa, because I guess in England, they're not really used that often because there's just not really an evidence base. Exactly. I mean, I was going to try and put it politely. There's not really an evidence base, but yeah, it is interesting.
How the fuck would be like? Oh, she tried to dye her hair blonde.
Yeah.
How would you know?
Yeah, I didn't get that bit because I was like waiting for them to say like, oh, they found something that like.
Her name is Fiona. Were you a medium?
Yeah. Also, there was one other thing I just wanted to pick up on from that part of the story. So it's obviously the story set in South Africa, and it's interesting that you're saying that Emma is based in South Africa, or I don't know if she's South African, because obviously the description of the nurse says the term coloured. She is South African. Okay, because yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you already.
Oh yeah, she explained this to me in.
Okay.
Sorry, she explained this to me in a previous episode. It's not like a derogative there. It's like a description of a group.
Yeah, so in South Africa, like it's a completely kind of PC acceptable term. So people still use the term coloured to refer to mixed race people, whereas in many other parts of the world, obviously that's a kind of quite an outdated and now very offensive kind of racist term and way of referring to people that are mixed race.
Yeah, sorry, I forget people haven't necessarily listened to our previous episodes, because the first time I came across that, I was like,
Yeah.
And Emma explained it in the script.
Yeah, so it's like it's probably worth us just saying that for, as you say, anyone that hasn't seen previous episodes.
Well done. You're keeping me safe on the internet. She feels a lack of love in her life, and oh my god, it goes even further. There was a new page, and she kidnapped the baby to fulfill that gap. She must realize that this is not her baby. Well, obvious statement of the century. According to Mickey...
Sorry to interrupt you, but you say that. I guess there's a chance, actually, that it's done in a moment where somebody's kind of so unwell and they're not necessarily in touch with reality and could potentially genuinely believe that that is their baby. So, like, when women have...
Oh my God, that's crazy. You're so delusional like that?
It's really scary, especially kind of like postpartum psychosis. So when women develop psychosis really shortly after giving birth, or in that kind of first 6 months, year post-birth, they really can lose touch with reality incredibly quickly. So I've seen lots of women actually that don't know that that baby is their baby, or think that another baby is their baby, or think that the baby has kind of like special powers and is like some sort of religious figure. Yeah.
You've seen this? This is not extremely uncommon?
It is. It is uncommon. So it's like roughly 1 in every 1,000.
But the fact you've seen it says it's in 2,000?
1 in every 1,000 births.
Wait, that's so high.
Yeah. Like it's just not widely known about, and not widely kind of understood. So, and it doesn't always go to that extreme, but often women with postpartum psychosis will have, a level of delusion and kind of hallucinations. So it is plausible, actually, that someone could...
But she isn't the mother. She didn't give birth.
Well, we don't know. We don't know the situation, do we? That's actually not a spoiler, but I'm just saying it's plausible.
And she could have had a miscarriage, which... I guess can have similar problems?
So I guess technically we call it a miscarriage up to 23 weeks. And then 23 weeks onwards, we would call it a stillbirth. And so you're much less likely to develop postpartum psychosis if it's a miscarriage, just because the hormones will be at different levels. Whereas it is feasible that after a stillbirth, you could go on to develop postpartum psychosis, even if the stillbirth happened and it wasn't kind of full term.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. According to Mickey, it was crucial that Mornay and Celeste should make appeals to the public and that they should speak directly to the woman who'd taken Zephany. A very emotional Mornay and Celeste then appeared on national television, and Mornay was crying when she told the woman that, quote, "We don't know what your name is, but I ask nicely that you return the baby. We weren't told anything against you. We love that child because she belongs to us, and she's been taken away." It's like, we won't do anything to you, but the police are definitely going to want to have a word.
Yeah.
Because the profile suggested that their suspect had been pregnant at some point in the last year, there we go, Inspector Van der Westhuizen and his team drew up a list of all the women who'd had a miscarriage at Grootscher within the last year. Police officers then went to their homes to see if any of them had a newborn baby in their house. According to Inspector Van der Westhuizen, quote, "You know someone had a miscarriage, and then you must go and knock on their door and see if they have a baby. And the way to go about it with that poor person, it's cruel when you think of it. You had a miscarriage, and then the police knock on your door because they suspect you of maybe stealing a child." Yeah, it's intense, but it's got to be done.
Yeah.
It's got to be done. A few days after Zephany had disappeared, the police got a tip that a woman who matched their sketch lived in Lavender Hill and had a newborn in the house. Mornay and Celeste escorted the police when they went to question the family, but it was a false alarm. The baby was a boy, not the little girl they'd lost, and the little flicker of hope they'd nurtured in the days after Zephany went missing threatened to go out. The same thing happens over and over again as the weeks went by. Celeste's mother would later explain that they'd get home from work, and then they'd go and drive around the Cape Flats, looking for anyone who might resemble the woman who'd stolen their baby. Mornay and his brothers would search the roadsides and known dumping grounds for any sign of a little body wrapped up in baby blankets. Oh my God. And if they got a tip that Zephany was living somewhere nearby, the whole family would drive over and go and have a look. According to Celeste's mother, quote, "There were a lot of prank calls and stuff, and it made them lose their hope, you know." This continued for years, but a part of Mornay and Celeste refused to believe that Zephany was dead. However, eventually they had to accept that she might never come back home, and they had to move on with their lives. According to Mornay, the hope of getting Zephany back made us forget that we can have our own kids. Mornay and Celeste went on to have 3 more children. Oh, that's so... I mean, I don't want to say, oh, everything worked out. Obviously it didn't. Their kid was stolen. But I do like that their relationship, which they began at 17 and 18, and started so terribly. I like that seems to have, panned out.
For now.
4 years after Zephany... Pardon?
For now.
Oh, God.
But yes, no, it is. It is a nice, hopeful moment.
I'm like, oh, this is so nice. And then he murdered her. 4 years after... 4 years after Zephany had disappeared, Celeste gave birth to another daughter, who they named Cassidy. She was followed by Joshua, and then another daughter named Mika. But Celeste never let them forget that they had an older sister who was out there somewhere. Cassidy would later explain that Zephany's ghost had a huge impact on how she and her siblings were raised. Their parents lived with constant fear that one of their children would be taken from them, so they never let their other children out of their sight. They also weren't allowed to go and stay over at a friend's house or go next door to play with the neighbor's kids. According to Cassidy, "I couldn't play with my friends. I couldn't go out to the movies. I can't even go to the shop for 5 minutes before my father starts screaming and yelling like a mad person. Where are you? Why are you taking so long?" And it got to me. It made me so upset. They told me about her every day. Every day was always about Zephany. Wherever I go, "You know what happened to your sister? You can't go there." It was just Zephany, Zephany, Zephany. And I would say, "But I'm not Zephany." End quote. And by the time Cassidy became a teenager, she started to feel like she was just the replacement baby, and that, quote, "The love they gave me wasn't actually meant for me. That love was supposed to be for my sister." As a child, I knew I couldn't fill that void, but I would always try and make them feel that there is still hope. In the Showmax documentary, Girl Taken, Mornay even explains that when Cassidy was born, she was, quote, "like a drug to me. Whenever I miss Zephany, I would just shower this child with love and gifts, keep her close to me. I call her my little pain away." This is like, I get it, and that's really like sweet, but it's also like, for that kid, you just would feel like you're the replacement and you're just there to make the parents feel better, which is not what a kid's job is.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting. I was so struck by the fact that Cassidy used the term ghost. So when she said Zephany's ghost, because then it really reminded me of this really, really interesting paper that was written years ago in the 70s by this psychoanalyst called Ghosts in the Nursery. Mm-hmm. And it talks about how for all of us, kind of we bring with us these kind of ghosts. So these kind of unresolved traumas from our past, particularly kind of maybe from our childhood. And we then kind of bring them into parenthood, and we often kind of project and transfer them onto our children. And it really affects how we kind of see, how we relate to, and how we interact with our child. And I guess that's, Cassidy and Mornay are really kind of beautifully explaining that and demonstrating the huge impact of the loss of Zephany kind of for all of them. And it's going to have a really long-lasting impact.
Yeah, you bet. And you see, yeah. Every year on the 28th of April, the Nurse family celebrated Zephany's birthday. Celeste, oh my God, it's so confusing. Also because they're called the Nurse family, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's about a nurse who took their baby.
I know.
That's weird. Every time you hear your surname, you'd be like, bloody nurse. Celeste would bake a cake and throw a party for her. And then her and Mornay would invite the media over to cover their story again and remind the public that Zephany was still out there. Later on, photos of Cassidy would also be included in the news articles about Zephany's disappearance, explaining that the two sisters might share a resemblance. At some point, a local grocery store chain, Pick and Pay, started sponsoring these birthday parties for Zephany, and it suggested that Mornay and Celeste received some financial kickbacks for sharing their story. Kickbacks make it sound like negative. Just be like, they got paid for sharing their story. Hell, yes, why not? Like, make the best of a bad situation. And also by sharing the story, you're more likely to get your daughter back. This is a win-win for everybody.
It makes it sound much...
Right? Am I missing something morally here?
No. I think, it makes it sound kind of much less genuine and kind of just sincere in them trying to find her. The way it's kind of, phrased.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be like, yeah, sure, pay me. Pay me to be on the news, which helps. But according to Cassidy, as she grew older, she started to think that these birthday parties were pointless. Here I was celebrating someone I didn't even know. Some birthdays I'd feel like, why are we still celebrating her birthday when she's not here? It didn't actually mean a lot to me. Mornay and Celeste's continued grief over Zephany also had an impact on their marriage. According to Cassidy, Mornay and Celeste grew to resent one another. Whenever they had a fight, they'd start blaming each other for Zephany's disappearance. Oof. Don't do that, guys. Come on now.
No, that's so brutal.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Mornay would blame Celeste for not keeping a closer eye on Zephany back in the hospital, and Celeste blamed Mornay for not being there with her and the baby. Someone needs to tell them, guys, it's not your fault.
No, it's really not.
Then Mornay had an affair in 2014, and Celeste kicked him out of the house. Well, there we go. Look, you were right, because you've read this before.
But to be fair, I was surprised that they went on to have 3 more children. Like I thought, like you said, I thought, oh, that's really hopeful. And I'm surprised they lasted that long because it's such a traumatic thing to experience.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that would be you just move on with your life. And I think, I don't know, it would seem like this is just such a painful reminder of what you've lost that even if you want it to work out, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
The two of them decided to get a divorce, and while everything was being sorted out, their 3 children were split up. Joshua Amico went to live with Celeste at her mum's house, and 13-year-old Cassidy went to live with Mornay with his family in retreat, which is how Cassidy ended up attending Zwanswyck High School. The hidden one. Miche Solomon was born on the 30th of April, 1997. What was the date? The 28th of April, 30th of April. That's very close.
Mm-hmm.
Same hospital, by the way. She was the only daughter of Michael and Lavona Solomon, and she grew up in Lavender Hill on the Cape Flats. Her cousin, Gerald, had been living with Lavona since he was a toddler, and even though he was 10 years older than Miche, the two of them were close, and Gerald lovingly referred to her as his little sister. Michael was an apprentice electrician, and Lavona worked as a seamstress, so they never had a lot of money, but Miche was their everything, and her parents provided her with the best they could. Her aunts lovingly called her Queen Miche because she always got her way. and she had a habit of ordering everyone around, which resulted in her cousins joking that she liked to act like she was a white lady. Jesus. According to Miche, she had a happy childhood and, quote, "My earliest memory is of going camping. I have a picture of me and my dad sitting on a rock at a local campsite. We used to go every year until a certain age. It was my immediate family and my cousins, my brother's friends, would all go in summertime. It was so nice." Well, there we go. Lovely. Miche grew up with the knowledge that she'd always had a parent's support, and Michael and Lavona encouraged their daughter. Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speculating that this is the daughter that was nicked. Oh no. And she's having this nice childhood. They repeatedly told her that she had to work hard if she wanted to make a success of herself, but also made a point of reminding her that if she made any mistakes in life, she had to be willing to live with the consequences. It's a bit rich, isn't it, if my speculation is correct?
Indeed.
No comment, huh? When she was in primary school, Miche did well academically, but she admits that when she became a teenager, her priorities shifted. It's when I started having fun, going out late, getting a boyfriend and things like that. I did fine in my studies, but not excellent. I think I was a normal teenager. I liked to party occasionally, but I'd never sleep out of the house, because that was the rule. Miche explains that she was your typical daddy's girl, but she knew that she was the apple of her mother's eye. Lavona was strict, and she had raised her daughter to be emotionally strong, confident, and independent, but she also spent hours sewing beautiful dresses for Miche. Quote, "My auntie and them would always say that nobody was ever allowed to push me around or speak badly to me because my mum would always back me up." When Miche started her final year at Zwanswick High School, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Zwanswick. In January 2015, Lavona got a factory job as a seamstress so that they would be able to afford pay for Miche's matric farewell ball, I guess matriculation, so matric, and the elaborate dress that Lavona planned on making for her daughter. But then everything changed. According to Miche, I was just a normal teenager, up until the day I met Cassidy. They're going to look similar, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's going to be,
keep going.
Here we go. It started with a rumor that there was a girl in the 8th grade who could have been Miche's twin. The teachers were asking if this new girl had an older sister, and she said no. Someone is getting so busted. Oh God, what are the odds they go to the same school?
That's crazy.
Wow. Miche's friends approached her and said, "Hey man, I just saw your sister." And Miche laughed it off and said, "No, I don't have a sister." But then, like that scene from The Parent Trap, the two of them literally walked into each other. According to Cassidy, the bell rang for interval, and as I walked out of class, we bumped into each other. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and everybody around us was being rowdy, and they were going, "They look like each other. This is the two. This is the two." According to Miche, she was just as shocked. And I was like, "Why do you look at me?" And she was like, "Why do you look at me?" And I was like, "No, I'm the older person here. I get to ask the questions." I've got a picture. They are clearly related.
Yeah, it's crazy. And can you imagine seeing someone that looked that much like you that wasn't related to you?
No. Because even when someone says, "Oh, that person looks like you," which, I don't know, being a person on the internet, people also, half my social media feeds are like, "Oh my God, look, it's Simon." I'm like, that person looks nothing like me. But then do you actually see someone and you be like, "Oh my God, that person does look like me." That is very weird.
Yeah.
The quote continues, "I had this sensation, this connection in my chest. I thought, maybe it's because she looked so similar to me when I was 14 years old, and we immediately clicked, and we immediately became friends after that." In the book, Zephany, 2 mothers, 1 daughter, which was written by Joanne Zhao, Miche explains that after that day, Cassidy became her little shadow. During break times, Cassidy would ask if she could sit with Miche and her friends, and Miche naturally assumed the role of Cassidy's older sister. She'd braid her hair and listen to her worries, and she slowly came to learn that Cassidy's home life was a mess. Cassidy told her that Dad left them and that her parents were now getting a divorce. Not long after they separated, Cassidy's mum got diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer, and the 13-year-old girl now felt it was her job to keep her family from falling apart. Cassidy also told Miche that her parents were super overprotective, that her older sister had been kidnapped as a baby, and that everything in their house had always revolved around her missing sister. Cassidy also told her about how her parents used to go out looking for their missing child, and that a family friend had even tried to scam them out of 50,000 rand by pretending she knew what happened to Zephany. Family friend. Family douchebag. According to Miche, in my mind, I thought, this girl is talking nonsense to me here. I feel sorry for her. She has no life if she has to make up stories like this. She said to me, you look like my mummy. So I was like, let me see a picture of your mother. She showed me a picture, but I didn't feel anything. I said, no, I don't look like your mummy, feeling even more sorry for her and her stories. Then Miche went home and told her parents that there was a girl in school called Zephany Nurse who looked like she could have been Miche's baby sister. And Michael told his daughter that he knew about Zephany Nurse. In fact, their families knew each other. What? Michael and Mornay Nurse used to work on a construction site together, and Mornay's family owned an electrical supply store that they used to go to a lot when Miche was a little girl. What's more, Michael told Miche that there was a good chance she'd actually seen them before, since they'd spent every Christmas at her aunt's house just down the street from where the Nurse family lived. I feel... Wait. Why are you playing such a dangerous game? If you steal a baby, you have to move away. Because otherwise this would happen. How small is this town? I was like, okay, so they go to the same high school, but this must be a small town because there's too many coincidences. Whoa. Lavona, on the other hand, listened to Miche's account of the struggles that Cassidy was going through and told her daughter that it was possible that Cassidy looked up to Miche as a kind of big sister, someone that she could rely on while things were falling apart at home. According to Miche, my mummy's response was to invite Cassidy to our house. She doesn't have a sister, and she's talking to you. Bring her over. But Cassidy had already begun to suspect that Miche might actually be her missing sister. Yeah, no shit. You'd be like, hold on a second. So she told Mornay about her suspicion that she might have found Zephany. According to Cassidy, I told him about this girl, and I said, Daddy, I think this is my sister. And he was like, Cassidy, you know I don't like this false hope. Eventually, though, Cassidy introduced Miche to her father when Mornay came to pick up Cassidy from school one afternoon. According to Mornay, I told her, wow, you do look like Cassidy. In fact, you look a bit like me. And she said, wow, it's actually scary, eh? Whoa. Okay, someone's getting in big trouble. At least I hope someone's about to get in big trouble. After that initial meeting, Mornay went into full investigator mode. He found Miche's Facebook profile. Oh, right, because we're only 10 years ago now. They're now like, oh, yeah, okay. They did have Facebook 10 years ago. They had Facebook like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's a long time ago now. And downloaded some of the photos she'd uploaded of herself and her parents. He found out what he could about them using social media. And then he called Lieutenant Colonel Mike Barkhuizen, a detective with the Hawks, that's South Africa's version of the FBI, a badass name, and told him that they might have found Zephany. While this is going on, Zwanzig High School had its athletics day. Basically, the whole school competes in various athletic sports to determine who is going to represent the school in upcoming inter-school athletic competitions, and it's usually very informal and laid back. I fucking hated sports day as a kid.
Oh, God, me too.
Just be like... It's like you have to go to school on the weekend for an extra day to do something I don't like doing. Oh, God, sports day. So after sports day, Miche and some of her friends were planning on having lunch at a nearby McDonald's, and Miche invited Cassidy along. I do like going to McDonald's, though, so at least they had that. But as we've already explained, Mornay and Celeste weren't big on Cassidy going anywhere without supervision. And when Mornay arrived at the school and heard Cassidy had left the school grounds with Miche, he kind of lost it. He drove over to the McDonald's and confronted Miche and her friends, informing them that they couldn't just drive his daughter all over town without getting his permission first. He then invited Miche to have something to drink with him and Cassidy, and she agreed. While they were waiting on their orders, Mornay was also getting a lot of calls, so he left the table multiple times to answer his phone. Mornay also, not so subtly, started to ask Miche about herself, when she was born, where did she grow up, who were her parents. Subtle, dude, subtle. Miche didn't want to come across as rude, so she answered his questions and told him that she was born in Retreat Hospital on the 30th of April, 1997. She also showed him some pictures of her and her parents, and when Mornay rather rudely commented that she doesn't resemble either of her parents, Miche explained that she more closely resembled Michael's side of the family. Dude. Subtle, dude, subtle. What Miche didn't know was that Mornay was relaying all of this information to a social worker who was working with Lieutenant Colonel Barkhausen. According to Miche, quote, "After that day, it felt like Cassidy started following me at school. She'd be waiting for me at the school gate when we went in, or at the tuck shop at intervals. It felt like she was invading my space. My friends and I would be having a conversation, like maybe we want to gossip, but we can't because she's sitting here all the time. It made my friends feel uncomfortable." On the 24th of February 2015, Miche was told to pack her bags and head on over to the principal's office. When she got there, she was introduced to two social workers who were told about Zephany Nurse, how she'd gone missing as a child back in April 1997, and they suspected Miche was actually the missing child.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? You just be there like, hello, so, some news. Your parents might not be your parents, so we don't know who to talk to you. What happens in a situation like that?
I know, it's crazy. And because it's so complicated, isn't it? It's not even just like your parents might not be your parents, but it's like, actually your parents might have abducted you.
Yeah.
It's such an identity crisis.
Oh my God. And it seemed like, especially because her childhood seems a lot happier than the siblings that are siblings with the real parents. So that's further complicating matters.
Absolutely.
Of course, Miche didn't believe them. Yeah, you'd be like, shut up. What are you talking about? Who's put you up to this? So they showed her copies of Retreat Hospital birth register for April 1997 and told her there isn't a record of a Miche Solomon being born in that hospital. They then informed Miche that they were going to perform a DNA test on her to confirm whether or not she was in fact Zephany Nurse. According to Miche, I felt completely stunned. They told me that an investigation was underway. There were 2 detectives and a social worker at my house already, just there to talk. My auntie was at my house that day. She lives on the property, but with a separate entrance, so they were talking to her. And there was another one fetching my dad at work and my mum at work. It's all going to come falling down. They knew about my brother, who was now married, and where he was working. They even knew where my boyfriend was working. I started seeing connections with Cassidy, Mornay, and all the weird stuff that had been going on with them. I felt so angry, like they're dragging me into their messy lives and family issues. Oh my God, this is so complicated.
I know. Poor girl.
She's like, oh no, I like my family who stole me and are terrible criminals because they stole a baby. Miche explains that she initially only agreed to do the DNA test to prove to the social workers that they'd made a mistake. But as soon as they left the office, the social workers were introduced to Lieutenant Colonel Barkhausen and one of his colleagues. When she heard that Barkhausen worked for the Hawks, she realized it's like, he's with the FBI. Oh, hello. You're not a regular copper. She realized the magnitude of what they'd told her, and she burst out in tears. It was so overwhelming because I couldn't even call my parents. Yeah, why couldn't I call my parents? Why couldn't I at least have some sort of support, a familiar face? Exactly. It's like, who are they supposed to call? Yeah. That's so... Wait, how old is this kid at this point? Like 16? Something like that?
16, 17, I think. So yeah, not an adult.
Wow. After they'd sent her DNA swabs off for testing, Miche was taken to a safe house. They told her that she had to turn her phone off until they got the test results back, and then showed her to a room which she could use while they waited. But Miche didn't feel comfortable being at the safe house, so one of the social workers, Marcianette Jonkerman, great name by the way, Marcianette Jonkerman, got special permission to act like a guardian. That sounds like a made-up name, like a superhero.
It's a pretty impressive name.
Like Clark Kent, Marcianette Jonkerman, got special permission to act as a guardian to Miche while they waited for her test results to come back. While this had all been going on, Lavona had been questioned, and Michael was told to meet the police at the safe house, where he was then questioned in front of Miche. He denied having kidnapped Miche when she was a baby and insisted that she was his daughter. According to Miche, quote, he was very confused and, I think, sad at the same time, not really knowing what's going on or that anyone, let alone his wife, could lie to him in that way. Oh my God, I'm just putting it together. I'm sorry, I'm so slow. Do you remember this first line? Do you remember what's his face, the profiler or whatever, and he was saying how she was pretending to be pregnant and then she had to continue with the lie. Did the profiler actually get it right?
We'll have to see at the end.
Do you think the husband didn't actually know and she was faking the pregnancy the whole time and then she just comes home with a baby someday and she's like, hey! And the husband's like, wow, that was quick. You didn't want to call me? And she's like, no, I just popped it out. But just came home. Wow. Yeah, bish, bash, bosh. Easy. He didn't even realize that I couldn't come home. He asked if he could take me home with him, and Barkhouse had said, no, you can't, because you or your wife might flee with her. Yeah, I know, it sucks, but you can't.
But understandable, yeah.
Totally understandable. They should put one of those ankle bracelets on her, just in case. That evening, Marchionette took Miche to Stellenbosch, and she would stay with Marchionette and her family for the next 2 weeks. That evening, Miche was still trying to make sense of everything that was happening to her, and, quote, I literally looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, you don't look like those people. You look like your father's side of the family. You are Miche. I literally cried myself to sleep. But when the test results came back the next day and confirmed that Miche and Zephany were the same person, Miche's whole identity fell apart around her. Get her to a professional. She's going to be, oh my God. Quote, and inside me, everything went, have you ever had anything like this? No, this is too crazy, right? Yeah.
No, I've worked with a lot of adopted families and sort of helping the child then make sense of their identity kind of at the time that they discover that they're adopted or a long time after they discover they're adopted. But obviously adoption and abduction are two very, very different things.
So I think of myself as quite a level-headed, reasonable person. I do think if I found out that I was adopted, like today, that it would still kind of mess with me. I think that would mess with me a little bit. Right? Is that normal, or should you just be chill with who you are by this point?
No, because I think, even though, you're an adult and you have this really established, successful adult life that you're happy with, for all of us, like the foundation of our identity is our childhood, right? And that starts with our parents and our family home and our ancestry. So then when we find out that kind of they're not our parents and we don't share blood with them and, all of the things that we associate with family in a blood sense, it kind of really can destabilize our sense of who we are.
God, I'm just thinking about that now. Yeah, it'd be so weird. I know I'm not, though. Have you done the Ancestry DNA?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Yeah. We had it as a sponsor a while ago. So I look at my DNA profile. I'm like, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No, it would be interesting to do.
Yeah. It is interesting. I found it interesting. And then you also find out, like, you'll be on this website and it'll be like, this is your third cousin. And you're like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, did I ever tell you that story about that woman who found a family photo album from my mother's side at a boot fair?
No.
Did I ever tell you this? Some woman Googled me, or she found, she was at a boot fair and she found like a family photo album. And she bought this family photo album because she thought, oh, it's quite sad that this family photo album isn't with this family. And so she looked at some names inside. It wasn't Google. She went on to Ancestry, the website that I did my DNA through. And she found that I'd made the family tree there. And she was like, oh, I'm not going to say my mother's maiden name because it's literally the password for things, when you phone your bank. But she saw that name. It is an unusual name. And so it was in there. And she was like, so she looked this up on Ancestry DNA. And then she found that I was the person who built the thing. So she reached out to me and said, do you want this photo album? And I'm like, yeah, I would. And it had like pictures of my nan as a kid with her brother and all of this stuff. It was really cool.
So was the person in England?
Yeah.
Wow, I wonder how...
She mailed it to Dad and they gave it to me.
Wow. How did it end up at a boot fair? That's fascinating.
No idea. Probably, I don't know, maybe like an estate sale or some point. Someone had just bought a bunch of stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, I think it wasn't like, it was probably Nan's brothers or something, because that's where the photos went from that point on. And it was mostly them. rather than anyone further down my side of the tree.
Okay. Cool.
It was cool. It was very cool. Okay. And inside me, everything went dark. I don't know what happened to me that day. It was like the world went black. And then I asked, but what's going to happen now? Well, they've arrested your mother. That's when it hit me. I didn't cry, but inside, to hear that the person you love, the person you call mummy every day, the only mummy you've ever known is being arrested, that's not a nice feeling. Only criminals get arrested. How do you bring those two together? Your mother and a criminal. How do you make sense of it? I don't know if South Africa has a statute of limitations. Can you imagine? That would be extra weird. It was like, oh, it's outside statute of limitations. The statute of limitations for kidnapping is like 15 years or whatever. Because some countries have this, like, even for like really serious crimes. Like there's a unlike in England where it's like there's no limitations for criminal offenses. Some countries just cap this stuff. I guess maybe not because they're arresting her, but that would be even weirder if it's like, oh no, we know she did it, but we can't do anything.
Can't do anything about it. Yeah.
God.
Gosh, but yeah, it's so much to make sense of, isn't it? Like when you've had this lovely, happy childhood and this really good relationship with your mum, and there were no, signs, no other like criminal activity. It's not like she's a drug dealer or taking drugs or, anything. And then out of the blue.
No, but she's done something worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh, sorry. What followed was a whirlwind of events, and Miche wasn't afforded any time to really process what was happening to her. An hour after she'd been informed that she was actually Zephany Nurse, Marchionette took Miche to the Belleville police station so that she could be officially introduced to both Mornay and Celeste. This doesn't seem like the best of ideas right now. Like maybe we should allow a little like time to decompress, depressurize, maybe like put her in a hotel with a psychologist for several days. Just like, wow. They would later explain the immense joy and relief they'd felt when Lieutenant Colonel Barkhausen confirmed that they'd found Zephany. And when they were officially introduced to her, both Celeste and Mornay felt overwhelmed by the knowledge that they'd finally found Zephany. According to Celeste, I was shaking. I was nervous. I was extremely nervous. And she just looked at me funny. She looked scared, and we started chatting. And I couldn't stop staring at her. It was the best moment of my entire life. And according to Mornay, it was unbelievable. It was beautiful. It's a moment that you can't really explain because there's too much joy. Wow. I am Miche. Miche? Was that the right pronunciation? Yes, it is. I've had such... Emma's very kind. She gives me phonetic guides to the names, and this one's in the title, so there's not a phonetic guide. And I'm like, you've been reading this name for like the last 3 pages, Whistle, and you don't remember.
No, you're checking it.
Miche. It might come as a shock to you today that some people still resent Miche for everything that happened over the course of the next year. Okay, it does. It's almost as if everyone, especially the nurses, the family of nurse, the family nurses, not the nurses at the hospital, proper noun, thought that Zephany was going to move in with her biological family, fit right in, and be the person that Mornay and Celeste had always imagined her to be. Guys, I got some news. That shit ain't happening. Like, I'm sorry, but as much as you want that is not going to be your lives.
No.
It's just not. She's not been rescued from the basement of someone. She's just had a regular ass life.
Yeah, and a happy one with like a nice family. Like that, it's so much for her to adjust to.
Ooh, I don't like this. What they didn't seem to realize at the time, though, was that Zephany didn't exist. In a way, the girl that Zephany would have become had died the moment she left her mother's side. Miche is who she became after she'd been kidnapped, and the sad reality was that the Nurse family were strangers to her, which is why I'm going to use this chapter to explain why the Nurse family didn't get the happily ever after that they'd been expecting. I don't know if I need an explanation for why they didn't get the happily ever after they were expecting. I don't think they should have been expecting that in the first place, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I think they had really naive, unrealistic expectations, which I can understand because for 17 years they've been desperately searching and hoping to find her. But realistically, what did they actually think was going to happen given the circumstances?
For all you can be, not deluded, but hopeful or dreaming about this moment, you must have some amount of Oh yeah, but no. Right? You've got to have like over like 20 years or whatever it's been. You must have like some little seed of rationality in there, no? Is that, am I just, no?
But I wonder whether it comes down to expectations, because I guess obviously it's always going to be slightly different for the dad because you don't physically give birth. But if I think about what it was actually like to meet kind of both of my children, there's such kind of expectations, isn't there? And it's billed as like the best moment of your life, and like you're going to instantly love them and it's going to be wonderful. But actually, like, in the moment, you're a bit stunned and a bit shocked, and you're like, oh my God, this thing's just come out of me. This is our baby. I feel really out of it. Like, oh my God. And it's not the moment that you kind of expect it to be.
You've also, that's fair. You've built up all these expectations. You've been pregnant for like, or you've known you've been pregnant for like close to 9 months. And you're like, and you probably wanted to be pregnant before that. So you're like, oh, well, I've been waiting for this exact moment. There's no surprise. Okay. That's fair. This wasn't the best moment of my life, though. I once went to a Six Flags. There was no one there. It was completely empty. I rode the roller coasters over and over again. So that's pretty big competition, gotta say.
That's better than Romulus and Remus.
Don't tell my wife. Oh, I like that you know the fake names of my children.
I know, I was thinking earlier I need to come up with some for mine. We'll have to give it some thought.
Oh, choose something good.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it some thought.
I was like, I don't know where Romulus and Remus came from, but then I heard that they later like fought or something, and I don't even know, there's some like bad blood or something in between Romulus and Remus. And it's not the Bible, is it? It's Greek mythology. I was about to say in the Bible. It's like, no, that's not that. According to Miche, Celeste and Mornay walked into the room. They cried when they saw me and hugged me. I hugged back, but I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. It probably showed on my face. No, I'm wrong. I didn't feel nothing. What I really felt and wished I could say was, no, take me home. Take me to my family. I need my family. I don't need you people right now. I'm just doing it out of respect because it's the least you guys deserve. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I think the parents are being very unreasonable in their expectations.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very, very normal and reasonable reaction. I just had to pretend to be fine, to be excited even. Today, I can tell you that the reason I felt I had to pretend like that is because it's my mother who did that to them, who caused them that much pain. As their daughter, as the child she raised, I must show how she raised me. Oh my God.
Poor girl.
Wait, I just realized something. What if the other children are also stolen? Are her siblings also stolen because they stole one kid? And that might be because they couldn't have kids. Doesn't she have like brothers and sisters? Doesn't she have like two?
No.
Wait,
I think you're getting the families confused.
No, they had three more children afterwards. Oh no, I'm getting the families confused.
Yeah, you're getting the families confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm totally getting the families confused. My bad. Okay. That'd be intense.
That would be kicking it up a gear.
Yeah. Wow. So if my mother did that to the nurses, then I can at least show them that she also raised a decent daughter. I thought, I don't expect you to forgive her, but as a daughter, I can at least show you she is probably sorry for what she's done, and this is the least I can do. Wow.
Poor girl.
I wonder if does this have a name in the medical literature? It feels like Stockholm syndrome, but like on crack. Like very intense.
Yeah, it seems like she feels that kind of like that guilt, that weight, that responsibility kind of to the nurse family, but also kind of in a sense like to her mum. Like she's almost protective of her mum as well, of kind of like, oh, I need to show that she did a good job. Even if she did this horrible thing, she was a good mum and she raised me well. Like you can see there's like torn loyalties there for her.
Whoa. This is morally complex. Afterwards, Martianet took Miche back to Stellenbosch, and Lieutenant Colonel Barkhausen arrested Lavona for the kidnapping of Zephany Nurse. Barker was allowed to visit her in the cells that evening, and when he confronted her, Lavona reassured him that the police were making a mistake, that she hadn't stolen anyone's baby and that everything was going to be fine. According to Michael, quote, I didn't get explanations from her. The only thing that she asked me was if I would leave her. So I said no. I'll stick by you. I'll be with you in this case, and we can overcome this trial that we're going through right now because we never had any troubles. We were a happy family. Everything was good, maybe too good. But I told her that I would look after Mike and be there for her if she wants me. Lavona just said, thank you, I love you, and I thank you for always being there. So this is even more, now there's the dad who didn't do anything wrong. Oh my. So I know it's kind of like, I know it's a little bit fucked up, but I feel like she and the dad should be the family. She's like almost 18, and then she can make her own decisions. But for now, the dad didn't commit a crime. She thinks and wants to be with her adopted, her fake parents, and the dad hasn't done anything wrong. I don't know. I'd call it now, like from the information I have, and I'd say leave her with the fake dad until she's 18, then she can make a big girl decision. Mm-hmm. Is that, I don't know. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's fair and I think that's reasonable because kind of, as you say, the dad hasn't done anything wrong. He's been a present, kind of loving dad. They have a good relationship. She thinks of him as her dad. Yeah.
Okay, good. At least the dad wasn't in on it. If the dad was in on it, then it would be like, oh God, she can't go with either of these people.
Yeah.
And at least she's not like 7. Because I feel like then it's like you got 10 more years.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
right.
Before she can.
Because she's almost an adult. When you're an adult, it's like you're an independent person. You can make your own decisions. But she's 16, 17. She can't.
But gosh, it's a big decision. Like at 18 to make that decision. But then at the same time, I guess actually it's not a decision that it doesn't have to be black and white. The decision that you make, like, yes, you have to decide what your name's going to be, but actually it's plausible she could choose to have a relationship with both families.
Yes.
In theory, if they allowed that.
And with the mum in prison though, because she kidnapped her baby, I feel like she's going to serve some time. Unless she's deemed to be mentally unfit. But she's not now. She did a terrible crime. Oh no. Oh, I wonder where this goes.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually.
Okay, good. Okay. But despite Lavona's insistence that everything was going to be fine, everything was decidedly not fine. Shocking. According to Michael, quote, I went home alone. I got there, and the house was empty. No one, no family, nothing. I would walk into a room and just burst out crying, then stop, then burst out again, then stop and think that everything's okay. We'll be together again. This is not really happening, bro. This is like, I don't know. I think I've only had one of those this is not happening moments once in my life. And yeah, it's not that bad. It's not bad. I mean, it was bad at the time, but it was more like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I was in a cable car and it just started making all these insane noises. Like it was just me and 2 other people in this cable car and it just makes these crazy grinding noises. Like, and we're over a massive valley and I'm like, and with the other people in the cable car with me we're just looking at each other like, no one wants to say, is this normal? Is this? God. But I'm like, that's the only time in my life I've like actually pinched myself and been like, maybe this is a dream.
But I feel like surely you've been in more dangerous situations. You've done some pretty exciting things.
I know. I was not the most responsible young adult. It's true. It's true. But I got to the top of this mountain and then I was like, I'm not getting on that fucking cable car again. And I walked, and me and the 2 other people, we walked down the mountain for like 6 hours. Like there's no paths. We're just walking down. It was in like central China. I'm just like walking down this mountain. And you're like, oh my God. And then we got back into the town. It's dark. This cable car. Yeah. And you're also like in China and you're like, and this was like before they did all that like super high speed rail. This was like 2010. And it was like before like, I don't know, I went to China like 10 years afterwards and I was like, whoa, came a long way. This was like back when things felt a bit weird. Like you wouldn't rely on the engineering necessarily. Now they're like the best in the world at building fast trains and shit, but wow. Sorry. Self-indulgent tangent there. I apologize. Obviously, this guy has a lot more serious shit going on.
Than the cable car.
Yeah. So, thanks, Simon. You're You're really not coming off as a dick.
Really, if only that was the shit I had to worry about.
This guy's like, that's it? A cable car made some sounds, bro? The nurses also asked if Miche would agree to spend a day with them so that they can get... Sorry.
Poor Miche.
I'm not laughing at this. I'm still laughing. But Miche, who I'll remind you, is just 17 at this point, couldn't help but compare Mornay and Celeste to her adoptive family. Adoptive family. I feel like that should be in quotes.
Oh, what happened?
Why is... I don't know. No one can see this at home, but we're talking via Google Meet and a load of balloons just went up in the screen. Like it's someone's birthday, if I say birthday. Happy birthday?
There was a gesture that you were doing or that one of us was doing.
Weird. Who I'll remind you is just 17 at this point, but she couldn't help compare her families to the adoptive family. And the 36-year-old Mornay and 35-year-old Celeste weren't living up to the standards that the 50-something Michael and Lavona had set. Oh, I see. Oh, they're quite a bit older. I didn't realize there was this age difference there. Oh, well, that kind of makes sense because the biological parents were very young.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, because I'd be more the age of the yeah, that makes sense. Quoting her, I got into the car and Celeste was sitting with her feet up on the dashboard like a child. I remember Mornay was smoking in the car and the music was so loud. It was our type of music, like Sam Smith and trance. And I was like, really? You're my parents? That is so surreal.
No.
Because you'll be like, yeah, my parents are like boomer ass people. And now it's like, oh, you guys are like actually millennials. We're in the same
music bracket.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never known, like, I don't think I know anyone who's very young parents. Like, do we know anyone who's got very young parents?
No.
Because it's got to be weird, right?
I can't think of anyone. Yeah. Because often that dynamic, and they become almost more like friends, don't they? Or like siblings.
Oh, God, don't say that. That's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't think of anyone.
I'm glad I had children in my 30s, not in my teens. Jesus.
Oh, God, same, yeah.
Although now they'd already left home, so I'd just be living a life of leisure. They'd be off getting degrees and shit. I'd be like, okay. Bye. Okay. We drove along with the music and the smoking. Nobody smoked in my house growing up, and I told myself not to judge. Let's just see how it goes. Meanwhile, Mornay and Celeste were appearing on talk shows and were being interviewed on national television. And they told the public that everything was going well, that Zephany was already referring to them as mum and dad, and she was very accepting of the fact that they were a biological family. There was also a lot of talk that Zephany was going to move in with them, and that they were looking forward to being a big happy family again. But of course, they weren't a big happy family. They were in the process of getting divorced. Oh, right, yeah, okay. Right. Yes. Mornay was living with the woman he had cheated on Celeste with. And Jesus Christ, it's like going from, oh yeah, no, my criminal family, super like stable, and my actual family are like a mess. Cassidy was still living with Mornay and was struggling at school, and in the months that followed, Miche would regularly be called into the principal's office whenever Cassidy got into trouble. Because Celeste and Mornay simply... No, she does have a sister. Of course she has a sister. The sister who looks like her. Did they could have... No, I'm confused again, aren't I? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, there's the adoptive family.
Yeah.
With... Doesn't she have any sisters and brothers there?
No, so it's Miche, and then there was was he the cousin? But she doesn't have any siblings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that's right.
And then it's Cassidy and the two brothers.
Sorry, I do have more than 2 brain cells, but
It's just not working right now.
Yeah. I did an episode earlier today, and I was like, oh my God, I need a family tree. It's so complicated. Cassidy was still living with Mornay and was struggling at school, and in the few months that followed, Miche would regularly be called into the principal's office whenever Cassidy got in trouble because Celeste and Mornay simply weren't available. Anne Skelton explains that not long after being appointed to represent Miche, she and the Nurse family's lawyers also sat down and drew up an agreement regarding how they were going to move forward. According to Anne, Miche made quite a lot of the fact that she'd gotten divorced, saying, "They're not even a proper family. They're not happy. They're not together, so I don't think I would want to go and live in a family like that." Miche has amazing foresight. She wasn't what she wanted right then, and she had the foresight to see that things could change, that she may or may not really want to keep seeing them. Even on that very first day that I met her, she told me that she might one day want to tell her story, but she said, "I don't know the ending yet. I just know that I will want to tell it when I want to whom I want to, and not have all those decisions taken for me by the media." Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think so, right? This was especially important because Mornay and Celeste were already talking to a publisher about a book that would focus on Zephany and their 17-year-long search for her. Guys, just chill. Just chill. I know this is very exciting for you, but it's also very important that you think about your daughter and what's best for her. That your parents, that's your job. Come on.
It's interesting what you were saying at the beginning, because I feel like, in the beginning, fine, reasonable that they got paid for kind of going on the news and trying to raise awareness. But now it's tipping into
absolutely.
Okay, now you're just trying to monetize what's happened to you as a family.
Right. At the beginning, it's no one's getting hurt. There is just benefit to be gained from this. There is a baby out there who you want returned to you. But now you've got a fully developed, complicated adult. Or near adult. And with feelings and emotions and very complicated situations. The publisher seemingly had no interest in who Miche was and how she felt about all of this. And part of that included Miche's insistence on keeping the name Miche Solomon. Anne asked me, "Do you want to keep your name?" I told her, "Yes, I always want to keep my name. It wouldn't make sense for me to be called another name just so that people don't feel hurt. My name and my date of birth. It's what I believed. It's what I still believe."
Interesting.
I hope she's speaking metaphorically there, because otherwise it's a little bit delusional. I don't think... She's not that's not delusion. She's just talking about her.
Yeah, and I wonder whether in part it's because it's only a 2-day difference in terms of the date of birth. So it's not it's not she has to come to terms with the fact that actually she's 2 years older or younger. Do you know what I mean? So in a sense,
I know.
It's a bit harmless to choose to believe that your birthday's the 30th versus the 28th.
Yeah. I feel like this is a fairly minor thing. If we were talking earlier, it's if I found out I was adopted, I'll be like, whoa, that's kind of intense. If I found out my birthday was actually the 17th of May instead of the 15th, I'd be like, okay. Do I keep 15? I'd probably keep 15. I like 15.
Yeah, but it's a small adjustment.
Yeah. And what do you do when you go to the passport office? They're like, "No, I need to change my birthday." And they're like, Miche would later explain that Mornay and Celeste had also been excited to introduce her to her extended family and took her to meet her grandmother who lived in Mitchell's Plain. But again, she found herself surrounded by strangers who expected her to be Zephany, not Miche. Quote, "It's like those people were seeing a god. They were so fascinated with me, almost idolizing me. I thought, I don't like this. It's not normal. I wanted to shout, 'Get me the hell out of here.' I'd be like, 'Get me some cake. I'm a god. Feed me.' But my mum had always told me to show respect to the next person, even if it's a stranger. You don't always say what you feel because it could be harsh or rude. So I kept telling myself, these people are like this because I was stolen. They were deprived of the right to get to know me. Give them a chance. Sympathize with what they went through." Oh my God, you're a very stable person to be able to be in that situation.
Very mature and insightful. Yeah.
That's very impressive. That really speaks to some good parenting by your stealing parents.
Parents,
yeah. I saw Celeste, Mornay, and their family every second weekend, like we agreed. It was okay. They were very different to me and how I grew up. Wait, so she's with... Who's she staying with? Did we establish that?
I think is she still with the social worker?
Oh, okay. So maybe she's... Okay.
Or is she with the dad? I don't know.
Ooh. Maybe she's with the social workers then. I don't think we... Did we?
I don't remember it actually saying that.
No, I don't remember us being explicitly told. Okay. It wasn't natural for me. I was trying to do it, but their behavior was just so different from what I was used to. End quote. For the next 2 weeks, after she had been found, Miche was only allowed to talk to Michael, Mornay, Celeste, her brother, Wait, Michael's not the dad. Is Michael the dad?
Michael's the dad. The dad she grew up with.
The fake dad. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, good. I like that because I think that's the most stable person she knows.
Yeah, that's her anchor right now.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Mornay, her brother Gerald, and her social workers. Okay. Okay, good. She wasn't allowed to have any contact with Lavona. I mean, fair. And she wasn't allowed to talk to any of her friends because of concerns that they would share what she told them with journalists who were camped outside the Swansea High School. Quote, I felt like I was trapped in a cage. Nobody wanted to let me go home. I couldn't make contact with my friends, and I didn't know what they knew about my situation. My brother Gerald told me that my boyfriend was going crazy. No one had told him anything, and he thought I'm cheating because he hadn't heard from me. So Martinet phoned his number, and I spoke to him. He was like, what the heck? Where are you? Your phone has been off for a whole week. What's happening? Hey, fair play, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a week and you just disappear. I'd be like, hello? The quote continues, so Martinet took the phone and explained a bit to him. I just didn't know how I would put it all together and explain it to him or anyone else. After she spoke to him, he asked if he could call every day just to find out how I am. So he did. He called me every day until I went home. 2 weeks after her entire world had fallen apart around her, Anna Martinet asked Miche if she wanted to stay with Martinet and her family until she finished high school. Go and live with Mornay and Celeste. Wait, so sorry, the options here are...
Stay with Martinet. So she must still be with Martinet, who's the social worker.
Yeah.
And then she's giving the options.
It's very nice of Martinet to let her go stay with her family. It's just, it's way beyond your job. With Mornay and Celeste, or she'd prefer to live back home with her adopted dad Michael and finish school. I wonder what she's going to choose. It's got to be the dad, right? And finish high school at Swansea. Naturally, Miche chose to go back living with Michael, yep. And just like that, the nurses and the Solomons turned on one another, which left Miche stranded in the middle. But according to Miche, she didn't feel that instant connection with Mornay and Celeste that she'd felt when she met Cassidy for the first time. And what's more, Celeste was living in Delft with her mum and the 2 younger kids, Mika and Joshua. Mornay and Cassidy were living with his family in Retreat, which is why Cassidy landed up in our school in nearby Takai. Where did they expect me to stay? Mornay started crying. Maybe he felt that his own flesh and blood, his child, was choosing the criminal's family over him. That's probably hard for any parent. This person is incredibly perceptive. For being in that situation and having all these it's the sort of thing that I would say as someone who has absolutely nothing to do with this and sees it all very logically. But for her to pick up on this is quite good.
Yeah, and she shows real empathy kind of for the people in the situation, which is incredible that she has the capacity to do that given her age and given what's going on.
Yeah, just really excellent parents. Oh God, okay. But being back home gave Miche the support and stability she needed to process this huge change in her life. According to Martinet, Michael was very supportive of his daughter, and he even encouraged her to keep in contact with Mornay and Celeste and get to know them. He also refused to say anything negative about Lavona. Quote, he's so sweet, Michael. I immediately liked him and how they were raising Miche in such a good home. As Christians, going to the church and definitely spoiling Miche rotten. It really is not nice for Miche to be in the house without her mum. Lavona had these sewing machines there, and Miche took one look at them and said, now who's going to make my dress for the matric ball? My mummy was so looking forward to making my dress. Oh, yikes. Yikes. Lavona had since been let out on bail. Really? You kidnapped her child?
No. It's crazy.
But she hadn't been allowed to return home and was living with her sister. Michael was out working every day, and he explains that Miche had to grow up almost overnight. Lavona used to make her breakfast, ensure that Miche's lunch was waiting for her when she got home from school. Jesus, how early do you finish school? Oh, I do think they do school earlier in South Africa, don't they? They go early in the morning, and then they finish early.
I think so. A bit like here in the Middle East.
Aha, there you go. Miche didn't even know how to boil an egg, and now she had to take her, tell you what, you boil the egg.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah. Miche didn't know how to boil an egg, and she now has to take over the majority of Lavona's usual household tasks, like making sure that dinner was ready in the evenings, doing the laundry, and balancing the household budget. What's Michael up to?
Working. I think they have a very old school traditional division of labour.
It seems so. At school, Miche was hounded by the media. She had to cover her face and be escorted inside by her teachers. And during break times, she had to, to be fair, if you asked me to do the laundry, I'd be like, how do you work the machine again?
No, you must know.
I mean, I could probably work it out, but it's been a minute.
I admire your honesty. And your wife.
Yeah. My what?
And your wife.
Yes, more so. At school, Miche was hounded by the media. She had to cover her face and be escorted inside by her teachers. And during break times, she had to hide out in a classroom to keep the media from snapping pictures of her. She couldn't even confide in her friends, who also didn't know whether they should now refer to her as Zephany or stick to calling her Miche. She was still allowed to hang out with Cassidy, though, and she kept fulfilling the role of big sister to her by listening to her younger sister complain about everything that was wrong with their family. Quote, I did go for counselling for a little while, provided by the state. I saw a state social worker at some place in Constantia. I was a very angry teenager at the time. I felt that what was happening was so unfair. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for Celeste and Mornay's baggage to follow me. I started to feel really trapped, like too many people are wanting me to do things that they want me to do and to say things that they want me to say. My whole life was playing out in the news, and it was other people's words all the time. It also didn't help, end quote, sorry. It also didn't help that Mornay and Celeste were still basking in all of the attention they were receiving in the media. Miche explains that they threw a party in Mitchell Plains to celebrate Zephany's return and had invited 800 people. Oh my God, these people are not very switched on emotionally, are they?
No. How do they even know 800 people?
No, who the fuck knows 800 people? I don't know 800 people. I don't know, I think I know 100 people, maybe. I definitely don't know 100 people that I'd invite to a party. I know 4. But Miche hadn't felt comfortable attending, so she didn't go to the party. She later heard that some of the guests had brought her gifts to welcome her back, but she never received them. And then Zephany's 18th birthday came along. As we know, the nurses made a big deal out of celebrating Zephany's birthday every year, but Miche quietly celebrated her 18th birthday with the Solomons. And yet, Mornay and Celeste told the media that they'd spent the day with Zephany. Quote, things like that were happening, which I found hurtful and wrong, small things that then became big things. And eventually, there was the incident of the matrix ball. Dun, dun, dun. Wait, this is the one that her fake mum was going to make her a dress for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess she's not making that dress because she's... Oh, wait, she was let on bail, right? They let her out.
Yeah, so in theory, she could make it.
Oh, that's so crazy. I can't believe she's out and about. She kidnapped a baby.
I know. But no contact with her, to be fair.
Oh, that's...
Not allowed contact.
That's true, but still, it's a very major crime. Basically, both Mornay and Celeste had offered to buy Miche a dress for a matrix ball. 4 days before the ball, Miche was having lunch with Mornay and his new girlfriend when Celeste called her and asked if they could go to a final fitting for her dress. Miche told Celeste that she was with Mornay and his girlfriend, and Celeste flipped out on her for hanging out with Mornay and the woman he'd cheated on her with. Wait, this was a long time ago, right? Very long time ago?
This was about 10 years ago.
Chill. Chill. It's obviously bad and stuff, but it's been 10 years. Aren't you like...
Oh, sorry. This happened 10 years ago from now. But yeah, I don't know how long ago the cheating happened. But yeah, a fairly long time ago. So yeah, it's a very extreme and really unfair reaction.
Right. I feel like, haven't you moved... You still, obviously this is bad and it's something you don't want to happen to you. But again, don't people understand that you have to get over your shit because you got kids? You can not be over it, but you should bury it inside and react and act normally around your children, right?
I would personally not agree or professionally agree with that piece of advice, part of it. But yeah, absolutely. You do need to be able to move on from it and be okay for your kids. But I wonder whether it's about Celeste having this fantasy that now that Zephany or Miche is back in their life, that they're going to be this family again. So her spending time with that other woman, I guess, threatens that kind of fantasy, doesn't it? Of them being one happy family.
I guess, but you're delusional. You're delusional. Oh my God. It's not going to be normal, my dudes. It's not. It's just not.
No.
All right, so she's flipping out on her, hanging out with the girlfriends that he cheated on with. And then Miche quite rightly told her that she had no interest in choosing sides. Yes, it's like, I don't care about either of you that much.
Yeah, exactly. You're not that important to me.
I care about my kidnapped mum. Celeste blocked her and cancelled Miche's dress order. Well, that's petty. Quoting again, when Celeste did that, I felt, did you just really block me out of your life? You cry in front of the cameras. You tell them, I just want my daughter back. I want justice, and the lady must pay for what she's done. But look at what you just did. You blocked me and don't want contact with me. Don't lash out at me like that. I'm not a small child who you can just... This girl's 17. She's remarkably put together and emotionally aware. I know that I've said that many times, but she is more of an adult.
But she really is.
Wow. I'm not a small child that you can just tell what to do and where to go. Your time for that is long gone. You found me when I was 17, basically an adult, and you should know that what you did is just not right. Be the mother, be the adult. Oh my God. That is a burn, which she deserves entirely.
Yeah, she does.
She does. She's acting like a child to her child. Had my mum been there, she would have sat me down. Oh, and she means the kidnapped mum. Doesn't she? She means the kidnapping mum.
Yeah.
Sat me down and said, Celeste is sensitive. Maybe it's wrong for you to be talking to Mornay's girlfriend or whatever. Lavona would do that. Maybe I'm being harsh by comparing the two, but to me, Celeste failed in that instance. This is so complicated. It's like, yeah, you are being harsh, but deservedly so. But then also, your mum, who you like, kidnapped you from this woman as a baby. It's an insane situation. Wow. Mornay did end up paying for the dress, but Michael outright encouraged Miche to make peace with the very remorseful Celeste. But Miche had already accepted the fact that Mornay and Celeste would never fulfill the role of parents. At most, Celeste was more suited to fulfilling the role of confidant, someone who Miche could go to when she had boyfriend troubles. And Celeste also confided in Miche about her new relationship with an older man named Justin. But what Miche really wanted and needed was her mum. Miche finally reached her breaking point in September 2015, not long after Lavona's pre-trial hearing had taken place, which was really bad timing since she was supposed to be writing her final exams. With the help of some friends, she holed away in a hotel room and refused to talk to anyone except Anne Skelton, her boyfriend, and a handful of friends. Wait, who's Anne Skelton again? Is that the social worker?
No, I think that's the woman that was writing the book.
Oh, right. Okay. That's weird. It got so bad that Lieutenant Colonel Barkhausen actually threatened to have her boyfriend arrested on drug possession charges if Miche didn't go back to school. Quote, the social workers were calling me. Marchionette. Oh, Marchionette's the social worker.
Yeah.
I can't remember what her surname was, but she had a badass name. Marchionette something.
I can't remember either.
She was worried.
But it was good.
She said, don't be, I told her. The plan isn't to go off track. I just need some time and space. Yes, this is the worst time possible because I'm meant to go and finish my matric, but I just need this time to think about what I'm going to do. What's going to happen to me next year once I finish matric? Will I still be stuck, told what to do all the time? Is that how I'm going to be for the rest of my life, controlled by people who think they know what's best for me, but actually don't? I got good news for you. In what? A year maximum, you're going to be an adult. And then you could do whatever the fuck you want because you're 18 and people can't tell you what to do anymore. So, yeah, seems pretty good. This seems like obviously it's something that's going to mess with her for the rest of her life because it's extremely screwed up. But at least she gets to make her own decisions in a year and that's got to be good. Do you think that's good for someone in this position?
Yeah, I think it's probably really protective that actually she's found out so close to adulthood and so close to, as you say, kind of that increased independence. And I also think it's a really good sign that she's been able to handle this so maturely. Like so many people of her age would have completely gone off the rails.
Yes.
And gone down, much less healthy kind of coping strategies. but actually just say, taking some time away in a hotel and being able to articulate that that's what she's doing and that's what she needs. Again, as you said, shows such incredible kind of maturity and insight, which is amazing for her age and what she's going through.
I feel I'm less well emotionally put together than she is. And I'm a 38-year-old man with 2 children, Jesus. And she's like, well, no, this would be the right thing to do. And I'm like, wow, okay, it's quite impressive. Anyway, the quote continues. My auntie actually gave me the best advice of all. Just tell them that you're fine. You're 18. You have the right to do what... Oh, she is 18 now. Okay. Oh, time has passed, right?
Yeah, of course. Because they said they celebrated the birthday. Oh, gosh, yeah. So she really is an adult now.
Oh, she can do whatever she wants. Oh, and look, her auntie's giving her great advice. You're 18. And she's like, oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I am. I'll do whatever I want. Thank you. And that you'll deal with the consequences. So I did. I'm 18, I told them. You can't make me do anything against my will. I'm legal. I can stay here if I want to. That did the trick. Boom. Yes. That's the end of the quote. Miche did end up finishing that trick, since she was able to get special permission from the Minister of the Department of Education to sit a supplementary exam in January 2016 due to her extremely unusual circumstances. Wait, the Minister of Education had to make this decision? I feel like this decision should be made by someone about 6 levels down the chain from the Minister of Education. Shouldn't he be setting policy?
Yeah, I'm surprised it had to go so high up.
It's like, oh, we just needed... I feel like if you need an extension on an exam, you're just like, oh, I'm sick. And they'll be like, okay, you could... Or worst case, you do it a year later, right? You just do it a year later.
Yeah, you just repeat, delay.
But I don't know. When I was a kid, that seemed to be so important that you don't repeat the year. But as an adult, I'm like, oh, it's just a year. Who gives a shit? But all these things seem so important when you're young. Which was already stressful enough. It was only made worse by the fact that she was writing her final exams while Lavona was on trial for kidnapping her. Sorry, I should have laughed, but it's just so absurd.
I know, and it's sad and interesting, isn't it? Because obviously, undeniably, this is an awful thing that happened and that anyone could do. But at the same time, when we think about all of her emotional maturity and everything that we keep complimenting her on, it shows that actually her parents did a really, really good job. And she's come out and
fake stealing parents.
Well, that may be, but 2 things can be true, right? They could be criminals and still be really good parents. And I guess the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. She seems, from everything that we're being told, to be really, really kind of mature, insightful, intelligent, well-balanced.
All true. But the courts are going to have to come down on this so hard, because otherwise it sets the precedent of, oh no, it's cool if you kidnap a baby as long as you raise them well.
If you do a good job, we'll let you off.
We'll give you a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, it's complicated, isn't it?
She's got to serve time. She's got to serve. I'm thinking if she's doing less than 5 years in prison, that's a pretty massive injustice.
Yeah, it would be very surprising.
I don't know. I just pulled 5 years out of my butt, but I don't know. I think she's going for 10 plus. I think 10 is probably what she's going to get. You've read this before, so you probably know.
I don't remember, to be honest, what the final verdict is. Okay. So that part of the story we're approaching afresh together.
Okay. Well, let's continue. The trial of the Steel Mum, which I feel is just the worst. Yeah, what do you call it? Where something's given a name, not a nickname, but where the media's
label. Oh,
yeah, a label. Sorry, it's the worst label. Surely you can come up with something better. Anyway, because Miche had wanted to remain anonymous for as long as possible, Anne Skelton and Miche made legal history in South Africa when they managed to obtain a court order that would allow for Miche's identity to remain hidden past her 18th birthday, which was when she would legally be considered an adult. But that also meant that Lavona's identity was also kept secret during the trial, and that her court judgment was never made public, which means that I had to rely solely on the media's accounting of the case, so please bear with me. Wait, but why? Why does her identity have to also... Oh, I'm so dim. Of course it has to remain secret, otherwise they'd just be like, well, we know who your daughter is.
Yeah.
Oh, God, okay. Anyway, Lavona's trial... Also, I get the feeling she might be guilty because we know her name.
True.
Lavona's trial kicked off in January 2016, and Lavona was charged with kidnapping, fraud, and contravening the Children's Act by pretending to be Miche's biological mother. She was supported by the Solomons and her extended family, and Mornay and Celeste were supported by theirs. And this led to a lot of heated scenes and debates in the streets outside the courthouse, because there are very few cultures that are as passionate as Cape Coloreds. Well, there you go. Imagine a whole crowd of people pointing fingers and yelling and swearing before God and all his angels, while also insulting you and your mum and your whole entire family, and calling you and your dad and mum a puss without needing to draw a breath. Oh my God. Oh, it says, aka a pose, which apparently is the South African way of saying the C word.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we can't say that word on YouTube. You instantly get demonetized. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're very serious about that one.
Okay.
The atmosphere inside the courthouse was more formal, of course. In all criminal trials in South Africa, the accused is allowed to plead their case before the trial begins. And in her plea explanation, Lavona explains that she had always had trouble falling pregnant. She had first, this isn't an excuse. So I couldn't have my own baby, so I stole one. Like, what the fuck? Stop. Please, do not try this. She'd had her first baby girl named Yolanda when she was 16, but Yolanda passed away when she was just 6 weeks old. That's incredibly sad, but it's not an excuse. It is very sad. And I'm like, I'm sure Ted Bundy had a terrible upbringing, but he's still Ted Bundy. It doesn't matter. You're still a horrible criminal. Not that she's Ted Bundy, but also she kidnapped a baby.
I know what you mean. I think what's so difficult about these situations and these stories is I think like we can come to understand why they did what they did.
Absolutely.
And that's really helpful and really important. And sometimes maybe we can even hold a little bit of compassion for parts of their story.
Steady.
But it doesn't... Maybe one step too far. Maybe we'll get there, Simon. Maybe you'll get there. But you're right. Obviously, it doesn't make it okay. Being able to understand something doesn't excuse it.
Yes, certainly. And I think this is, I don't know, in previous episodes, I'll often say that, oh, wow, this person turned out to be a horrible criminal. Well, yeah, because their parents went away and then they were kidnapped by terrorists and they were raised in the jungle to become demons or whatever. And it's like, actually, this is a terrible example because that's way too specific.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out for me at all. But let's just say something simpler. Like they were raised, their parents weren't there, they were abused by their foster family or whatever. And then they go on to become a terrible criminal. It's like, all right, well, I understand that this is a really hard upbringing and stuff, but plenty of people have that same upbringing and don't grow up to be murderers. Like, I understand it's not an excuse. Lots of people struggle to have children and can't have children, but they don't go kidnapping babies. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. I hear you.
Rant over. Anyway. Quote, I recall coming home from school and my family telling me about the death. I was disappointed and emotional at the loss. I picked up Yolanda and held her until the ambulance arrived. After her daughter passed away, Lavona and her family moved to Mitchell's Plain, where she met her first husband, but he was addicted to drugs and enormously abusive towards her. And when he was arrested on robbery charges, Lavona divorced him. Good. Around this time, Lavona's sister gave birth to Gerald, but she wasn't able to care for him, so Lavona offered to raise him as her own. She was in another relationship at the time, and explained that she fell pregnant, but lost the baby to miscarriage not long after. Then she met Michael in 1994. Michael and I had, and continue to have, a good and loving relationship. He treats me with the utmost respect and has never abused me. It's like, what a good relationship. He hasn't abused me one time, not once. What a great guy.
So sad that that's the barometer.
He's never laid a hand on me. Perfect husband. Not one black eye, not one beating. Christ. Oh my God. Okay. I advised Michael that I'd had previous complications with giving birth. He responded by saying that I had my nephew and had a daughter, therefore I need not worry about it. However, I fell pregnant twice during my relationship/marriage with Michael. On both occasions, I miscarried. Quote continues, in September 1996, I didn't menstruate. In October, I bought a home pregnancy test at the pharmacy. It showed that I was positively pregnant. Michael was surprised and commented that he thought I was on contraceptives. He accepted the pregnancy and shared the news with his family. In November 1996, we shopped for clothes and furniture for the baby. A day in December, I fell ill and did not attend work. Whilst at home, I started experiencing bad abdominal pains and started bleeding. Hey, she's okay. Lavona knew that she'd miscarried, but she didn't inform Michael about it. Oh, I see where this is going. She pretends that she's still pregnant, and then she goes to the hospital and steals the baby and goes like, hey, look, a baby. Oh my God. Okay, so I do think...
Not quite.
Sorry? Isn't it? Oh, okay. Just sit tight. Okay.
Not quite. No, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I'm like, that seems like that feels like there's probably some like mental illness going on there, right? About the like miscarriage leading to her. If it did lead to that, then I feel like that's a much better excuse than, I did a really good job raising the kid.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Anyone abducting a baby is completely unacceptable. But if we're thinking about her story, we can understand how after so many losses, this woman probably desperately wants a baby.
Yes.
Is probably really worried about what losing a baby that wasn't necessarily planned in the relationship might mean for the relationship. And it's a relationship she treasures, and is treated really well by him. So there are lots of factors at play here.
Oh, okay. I'm beginning to build like a little bit of sympathy. I mean, I have sympathy. It's just not an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse.
He continued to believe that she was pregnant, since she was quite overweight and Michael didn't live with her. It was easy enough to continue to pretend that she was pregnant since she didn't want to disappoint him. Of course, this meant that she had to produce a baby at some point, and in a plea explanation, she claims that a woman named Sylvia had approached her at Tygerberg Hospital while she was still being treated for a miscarriage. Quote, she said that she helps women with infertility problems, and if infertility persists, then she can assist with adoption, as she knew many women who did not want their children due to unplanned pregnancies. She provided us with a brochure and said that the costs were 3,000 Rand. Okay. This sounds like it's a bit of a... Oh, wait, she's just making this up, isn't she? I know 3,000 Rand isn't a lot of money. Lavona claimed that she ended up paying Sylvia to help her fall pregnant again. But when the treatment didn't work, Sylvia called her to let her know of a young mother who wanted to give up her baby for adoption. Sylvia arranged to meet Lavona at the train station. This woman's extremely sketchy. Give me some cash and I'll help you get pregnant. Oh, it didn't work. Come to the train station and we'll talk about babies. Why? What are you doing? Sylvia arranged to meet Lavona at the train station to help her arrange an adoption, but she never showed. According to Lavona, quote, I was standing on my own when I was approached by an unknown female who asked me if I was waiting for Sylvia. I confirmed, and she showed me a baby who was wrapped in a blanket. She informed me that the baby was from Sylvia. I was taken by surprise as I was expecting to meet Sylvia and not for a baby to be handed over to me. What is happening? I thought Sylvia wanted to meet me to discuss the adoption of a baby that she spoke about previously. I asked the unknown lady where Sylvia was, and she informed me that I was to go to the retreat hospital and call Sylvia when I get there. Wait, is this her excuse? Is this what she's saying happens? Like, she's like, oh no, I didn't go into the hospital and nick a baby. A woman gave a baby to me in a train station.
Yeah.
In the adoption room.
That's what she's saying ultimately, that she adopted the baby.
I mean, points for creativity.
See, the thing is, I think there's a possibility that she genuinely believes that this is what happened.
Oh wait, she believes? You think she believes this?
Yeah.
You think she's blocked it out in her mind?
Yeah.
Or you think
I think it's possible
that this actually happened? You think she's concocted this in her mind?
No. I think it's possible that this actually happened and she believes that it was adoption.
No shot, she stole a baby.
But if you think about it, if you want something so desperately, you can overlook things, right? And things that are glaringly obvious red flags, you can ignore and convince yourself, you can come up with all sorts of reasons to explain it. So we know she desperately wanted a baby, right?
What is her reason? It's like, oh no, it's completely reasonable that I would just be handed a baby in a train station at the first meeting for 3,000 rand, which is probably like 40 quid or something. Like,
oh wow, is it that little?
I don't know. I know it's not a lot. Maybe it's a few £100 or something. Why are you concocting this in your minds? How? Okay, anyway, quote continues. I was told that the baby was mine and the documentation will be sorted out later. I had a bad feeling that something was wrong. Yeah, you should. You're in a train station. She promised I would be present when the baby was born, and this did not happen. I sat with the baby on the bench at the hospital, looking at the baby, and had no idea what to do. Wait, are we in a hospital or a train station? Oh, I'm sorry. So this happened. She was standing on her own. Wait, when did we get to it? Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. I really should follow along. Then they went to Retreat Hospital. It was like 4 lines ago. I sat with the baby on the bench of the hospital and no idea what to do. I recall noticing a pin still attached to her umbilical cord. I thought about abandoning the baby at the hospital. I thought I did not tell my family about the miscarriage, so I decided I will tell them it was my baby. Lavona claims that she then called her aunt and asked her to collect her from the hospital and take her home. She told everyone that the baby had been born prematurely at just 7 months, and when Michael returned home from work that evening, her sister informed him that the baby was born. He was surprised. Afternoon. Hey, love, how was your day? Well, had the baby. Had the made up baby. just 2 months early. Just telling you now. How was your day? Lavona then claims that she met up with Sylvia 2 weeks later to finalise the adoption papers and to register Miche's birth. She also didn't hear back from Sylvia for the next 5.5 years. It wasn't until Miche had to go to school that a letter finally arrived from Sylvia, which contained Miche's birth certificate. Quote, I had on occasions thought about telling Michael and Zephany about the adoption, but they had a very close relationship and did not want to destroy it. As we grew closer, it became harder to tell them the truth. Ooh, that's an interesting reason not to say. Oh, wow. Okay, if this is... okay, I kind of get where you're coming from, that maybe this is not just completely made up. Although I was not her biological... The quote continues, sorry. Although I was not a biological mother, I raised her as my own child. I had previously felt uneasy due to the lack of paperwork for the adoption. However, I felt no one wanted her returned, and because the parents did not want to keep her, I accepted her as my daughter. I recall sitting with her, brushing her hair, bathing her, and always wondering where her parents were and why they did not want her, as I found her to be pretty and cute. Right, because babies that aren't pretty and cute, people just don't want. Like, what sort of reasoning is that? It's like, this baby is really pretty. Why would anyone not want this baby? I don't know, because the world's more complicated than that lady?
The other bit that I find really confusing is I get that she's been told that, this baby's being adopted because the parents don't want them. But she must have heard the stories of Zephany Nurse in the news.
Oh,
right. She must have. So if we're accepting her version of events as true, which I think is plausible, then she must have been knowing what happened to Zephany Nurse. She must have at some point wondered, could my baby be Zephany Nurse?
Also, aren't there weren't there pictures of Sylvia out and about? So she'd be like, wait, that looks like the woman who gave me a baby. It's all very suspicious. Anyway, in an effort to counter Lavona's plea explanation, the state called Celeste to the stand, and she recounted the day that baby Zephany went missing. She told the court how she'd been drowsy from all the morphine, had heard Zephany cry, and then gave the nurse permission to take the baby while she slept. She told the court how she'd searched the entire hospital when she realized that someone had taken her baby, and then went on to explain what impact losing Zephany had had on her and the family. The court had to adjourn more than once to give her a chance to recollect herself. According to Celeste, quote, the day I testified, Lavona laughed, and she smiled during my testimony and showed no remorse. It's kind of psycho. Sorry, I know I shouldn't say psycho, but that's really, it's quite odd, isn't it? Right.
It is odd, but I guess that's Celeste's interpretation I guess, the smiling and the laughing could be feeling really awkward and uncomfortable.
That's true. I do have a tendency to laugh at...
Like it's plausible it could be either.
Yeah, and you do these episodes with me. You're like, and then he murdered 7 people. I'll just be like, oh God. Like, I don't know why. It's just this. Sometimes the reaction to horror is laughter. What's the reason for this? You would know the reason for this.
I think it's a protective mechanism. So it's like when something is so like horrific or so shocking to us or so kind of uncomfortable, it's really difficult for our brain and our body and our kind of, emotional system to compute that and know how to respond. So it's like a defensive mechanism is then to kind of to laugh, to try and find some humor, create some distance and make this kind of horrible thing less horrible and less horrifying.
I wish we weren't like this, though. It got me in trouble at school because you'd be getting told off and you'd be like, it's like, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm afraid.
Oh, God. And now I'm making it so much worse.
Yeah. Oh, God. Let's just carry on. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Markhausen explained how Zephany had been found and explained that in the course of their investigation, they found out that Miche's birth had been registered in Malmesbury, a farming community which is located 50 kilometers north of Cape Town, when she was already 6. This was most probably because Lavona couldn't send Miche to school without a valid birth certificate. The state also called a surprise witness named Shireen Piet, who explained that she'd also given birth to a baby girl in Grootshaw Hospital on the 28th of April 1997. She testified that after her daughter's birth, a pregnant woman came up to her and struck up a conversation. The woman was back the next day, and the next, and on the 30th of April, Mrs. Piet asked the woman to keep an eye on her baby while she went to make a call. On her way back, she saw the woman carrying her baby towards the elevators. This isn't a handbag, lady, Jesus. And although another pregnant woman you'd be very trusting of, because you'd be like, oh, they're pregnant as well. What are they going to do? Trust no one is the message there. The woman apologized, handing the baby back, and explained that the baby had been crying and she'd only been consoling her on her way to the elevator. Quoting again, when I took my baby, I looked at her face. It didn't look as if she'd been crying. A while later, I heard a man crying very loudly outside my room. I walked toward the sound and found a man sitting next to the elevators in a fetus position. I asked him what was wrong. He told me his child was missing. I told him about the woman who had tried to take my baby. I wondered if it had been the same woman who'd taken his child. Yeah. It'd be pretty unusual if it wasn't. It'd be like, oh no, there were 2 kidnappings that day, just by coincidence.
Oh God, don't.
When Lavona was called to the stand, she stuck to the claims that she'd made in her plea explanation. When she was questioned about the money that she'd given Sylvia, in quotes, in exchange for a baby, she'd admitted that she'd basically bought a baby from her. I gotta know. Siri, how much is 4,000 South African rands in American dollars? You want to take a guess? You want to take a guess how much she bought a baby for? She thinks she bought a baby for?
$300.
$231.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's quite cheap for a baby. Babies are, yeah. I don't really know what a baby goes for on the open market, but it feels like it would be more than $231. Bought a baby from her instead of paying for fertility treatments as she'd originally claimed. Yet Lavona insisted that she hadn't known that the baby had been kidnapped. She claimed that she believed the woman when she said that Miche's mother hadn't wanted her and had wanted to give her up for adoption. When the state prosecutor asked Lavona how she managed to hide the fact that she had a miscarriage, she explained that it was easy enough since she was overweight. Michael, like most men of his generation, didn't know what could be considered normal during pregnancy, or simply didn't want to know. The fact that they weren't living together at the time also acted in his favor because he didn't see her often enough to notice a difference. Great job, Daddy. And when the baby was born early, Michael didn't know enough about babies and their gestational development to realize that Miche was a full-term baby. To be fair, I don't feel like you see a lot of newborn babies.
Yeah.
Because mostly people keep newborn babies at home.
Yeah.
For the most part, for the first couple of months, because they can get diseases and stuff. You maybe take them out in the pushchair and stuff, but in the bassinet or the pushchair before it becomes a pushchair, with the basket in it.
bassinet. Yeah,
You take
I
them
know
out
what
in
you
that.
mean. Yeah.
But how often are you really looking at, if someone said this baby's 2 months premature, I'd be like, oh, it's a small baby. I don't know if I'd know.
Yeah, I think it's completely plausible that that for a lot of people, they could bring home a full-term baby and say it's 3 weeks early, and a lot of people wouldn't know.
She's a big girl. Okay. I'd just be like, okay, what am I going to do? Question you? To be like, no, I think you're lying. I think that baby was premature. You'd be like, where are we going with this conversation? Okay.
But also, I think today, if that happened, people would be like, well, why didn't you call me when you were in labour? But number one, I guess in the 90s, they didn't have phones that worked in the same way.
True.
And I don't know about in South Africa, but in a lot of countries, it would have been less common for men to attend a birth.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. Okay. Yeah, I would guess that that's not unusual, but I feel like he would be aware that she was, going into labor or something. But anyway.
You'd hope so.
It also suggested that Lavona had lied to Michael about the miscarriage because she'd been afraid that he would leave her. After all, she'd already told the court that he treated her far better than any of her previous boyfriends had. Right, he didn't beat her one time. 0 times. According to Marchionette, the social worker, what I've heard is that their relationship wasn't happy during that time. They broke up a lot, and because of that, maybe she tried to keep him by telling him that she's pregnant, and it worked. When state prosecutor asked Lavona why she'd registered Miche's birth in Malmesbury, Lavona denied that she had. She explained that the only time she'd been at the Home Affairs office in Malmesbury was when she and her sisters had to collect her brother's death certificate in November 2003. Besides, it would have been impossible for her to register Miche's birth since she didn't have the required documents from the hospital that would have confirmed where Miche had been born, seeing as how Sylvia never gave them to her. Wait, so how did she just has an unregistered baby? Without a birth certificate? It's kind of odd.
And that's the bit that's strange because, if I think about it for my kids, I've needed their birth certificate, for a passport, for health insurance. You need the birth certificate before they go to school.
Oh, I don't think we had to give them the birth certificate for school. Oh, no, we did have to give them the birth certificate for school. Oh, that's right.
I can't remember if we did here.
At least I think we did. They asked for a bunch of documents from us. But honestly, I don't even know what a birth certificate looks like. I think it was just a scan, It's a scan in my computer that says birth certificate. I just drag it into the email and send it off.
Off it goes.
Okay, now I've managed to find out what documents she would have needed to register a birth 6 years after the fact, since at that time it was pretty easy to do. Oh, okay. According to it's it just took 6 years to register my child. We were just hanging out. We're busy. But although to be fair, I still haven't got my kids' British passports. They have Czech passports, but not British ones yet.
Ah, okay.
But just haven't needed it yet. And it sounds like a bit of a pain in the arse, judging by your experience.
Yes, it definitely can be.
I've learned from your experience and have a plan that I'm not going to publicly broadcast. Okay, so according to a leaflet that was published by the Department of Home Affairs in 2015, the reasons for a late registration of birth included cultural beliefs, which often meant that the baby wasn't given a name until they'd been baptized or blessed in a religious ceremony. Okay. Fair enough. Different cultures. All right. Babies who've been born at home or in rural areas where the mother didn't know that she had to register a baby's birth with Home Affairs, or the parents didn't have official identification documents. In order to register a birth more than 30 days after the fact, Lavona would have needed a photo of the child, an affidavit which included the details of the child's birth, a certified copy of her ID document. Wow, if you want to just get a new identity and run away, sounds like South Africa's the place to do it. You don't need to have anything. You're just no, I lost my stuff. Yeah, no, my name's Bob. Can I have an ID, please? Oh my God. She also would have needed to take Miche with her so that both their fingerprints could be taken. That's it. A clinic card or any other official proof of birth was entirely optional. I'd also bet my front teeth that Lavona knew this, and that she realized it would be much easier to register Miche's birth after the news about her disappearance had died down a little. Right. rather suspicious. Anyway, the trial itself was pretty straightforward. Michael also testified, but he didn't say anything that we don't already know, and Lavona cried on the stand when she explained that the last time she'd seen her daughter was when she'd left for school on the morning of the 25th of February 2015. Miche wasn't allowed to testify during the trial, but she was allowed to testify during the mitigation hearing. She also rightly assumed that it was because she didn't have anything to say that counted in the state's favor. When she was called to the stand, Miche explained that she'd had a normal, happy childhood. She hadn't been abused and had grown up knowing that Lavona and Michael loved her, which is fantastic and all well and good. But it ain't an excuse. All they ever expected of me, this is a quote, sorry, was to finish my studies and make it far in life. What do we expect of you? You got to make it far. No, not an average life for you. You're going to be president. And that's all they ever asked of me.
But also, what does that mean? That's really subjective. Right? Like, make it far.
Make it far in life. No pressure. Just far. Emphasis on far. She went on to explain that Lavona had a habit of taking care of everyone around her and that she became the neighborhood mummy wherever she went. She'd feed and clothe the children whose parents were struggling to put food on the table, and she'd reach out to any of their neighbors who needed help with either money or food. She also worked her fingers to the bone to ensure that Miche had everything she needed, and Miche was more than aware that she'd grown up more than a little spoiled. In the documentary Girl Taken, Marchionette added to Miche's story, explaining that, quote, Lavona gave the child the best education that she could give at that time. If you look at the area where they live, there is lots of poverty, lots of children roaming around in the street. And then you look at Miche. The child turned out as a well-raised young lady. So I think what we have to take out of this story is the fact that this child was actually okay. Yeah, but again, that's not what we should be taking out of this story. Social worker, what should be taken out of this story is don't kidnap children. Am I insane? Why is the social worker saying this? I mean, it's fantastic. She grew up great, but her mum kidnapped her.
Yeah, which is completely unacceptable. And also, they're saying she's okay at this point. And I think, like, it's great that she is seeming to manage this so well at this point. But actually, this could be really, really destabilizing for her as time goes on and as she moves through adulthood. So it's not like just because she seems okay and emotionally mature and managing it well, okay, everything's fine. It's not as simple as that.
No. Anyway, State Prosecutor Evande Korkia explains the fact remains that even though Lavona hadn't had any malicious intent, she kidnapped the child. I'm sorry, but is that not malicious? You kidnapped someone's child. You're state prosecutor. You're the opposition side's lawyer. What's happening?
But I guess she believes she adopted a child, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay, I kind of do believe that maybe she thought she adopted the child. Okay. Maybe I've come around to that.
In which case there isn't any malicious intent. Not that it is not okay, but I can see that actually if that's genuinely what she believes, that's not malicious.
But then by the state prosecutor saying that, he's kind of implying that he believes the story that she thinks she adopted.
Yeah.
Which says a lot to me about maybe the believability of that story. If the lawyer who's prosecuting her is like, no, that seems legit, we'll go with that. I think you did think you adopted her. Okay, that kind of changes my mind on the whole thing. She hadn't abused or murdered Miche, but she'd still stolen Zephany's life. Quote, Lavona Solomons did take a life. She took the life of Zephany Nurse. She didn't think about anybody else, not even Michael. She only thought of herself, and that's why she stole the baby. When you murder someone, the person no longer exists. But in this case, the person still exists, but their identity and the essence of that person no longer can exist. Lavona comes across as a person that cares for others, that reaches out to others, but she needs to be the caregiver, the person dictating the rules, who manipulates everybody else. And she stole that baby for herself. When the trial concluded, Judge John Halopa told the court, I had to listen to her lies for days. The evidence against her is overwhelming. Her version of events does not make any sense. There weren't any adoption papers, and the circumstances you described under which the baby was handed to you is suspect. It's clear from the DNA. Okay, so the state prosecutor doesn't believe this. He doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe the story. So why does he say there's no malicious intent?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
It is. Well, I think the judge isn't going to be like, no, I don't believe you, prosecution. I think it's even worse than you said. I mean, maybe. That'd be really harsh. The prosecution's like, we're hoping for 10 years in prison. Judge is like, nah, death.
Slightly extreme.
Okay. It's clear from DNA evidence that you aren't a biological mother. The biological parents also didn't give you permission to take the child. Well, obvious statement of the century.
I know. I don't understand why they're pointing out that the DNA is different. She's not claiming that she's the biological mother.
No. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that you can't buy a baby in South Africa. Judge, have you been paying attention to this case? How old are you? Are you all there, allegedly? That's the end of the judge's quote, fortunately. Lavona Solomon was found guilty on all 3 charges and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Nailed it. I said 10 years.
You did.
I think she's going for 10. 10 plus. I think 10 is probably what she's going to get. The Solomons cried and the nurses cheered, and Miche's paternal grandmother gleefully told the media that they'd spent the last 18 years crying over Zephany. Now it was the Solomon family's turn. And outside the courthouse, the nurses and the Solomons were once again at each other's throats. In some of the footage I saw, the nurses called the Solomons criminals and thieves, and the Solomons responded with claims that Zephany didn't love the nurses and wanted nothing more to do with them anyway. Okay, fine, but you still stole a baby! Celeste and Mornay both told the journalists who gathered outside the courthouse that they could never forgive Lavona for what she'd done, and Mornay explained that he thought that Michael was a right dwanky. Okay. I like learning foreign countries' slang in these episodes. We also have lots of cases set in Australia, and they have their whole own dictionary of insults. Dwanky. Or an idiot for not realizing Lavona had lied to him for all those years. I don't think he realized that Miche read every article about the trial that she could get her hands on and watched every news segment about it that came on television. And when she saw Mornay diss her beloved daddy, she, quote, when I saw Mummy on TV for the first time, her face covered with a hoodie like a criminal, she didn't look like herself. It broke me seeing her like that, because this isn't the mother I know. That is not the mother that I was raised by, so it's very challenging for me to read all the negativity, and it definitely impacted my relationship with my biological parents. Yeah, as it would. Zephany, 2 mothers, 1 daughter. Well, 1 mother, the other mother's in prison for a decade. You'll be 28 by the time she gets out. That's intense. According to Miche, I didn't hear a word from the nurses the day my mom was sentenced. None of them came to my house and knocked that day, nor Celeste nor Mornay. If they could have just thought, what is Zephany feeling right now? They knew I loved my mum. I made it clear that my mum will always be my mummy. Obviously, it would have hurt me that she'd been sentenced to prison for a long time, but neither of them, not one of that family, came to say, do you need us? Do you want to see us? Nothing. They threw a hell of a party at Mornay's family's home. And I can't say it's wrong, because to them, justice was served. Justice was served to them. But they didn't think once, how's our daughter feeling? They couldn't expect me to hate my mom. Yes, I was angry with her, and angry for being lied to. But I still love her. I didn't care if she did it or didn't do it. Yeah, these real biological parents are not very thoughtful, are they?
No, I thought that as soon as it was saying kind of that they cheered and they celebrated kind of at the sentencing. I get it. I get that, yes, for them on some level, they will feel like justice is being served, but actually it doesn't change anything. And it's so sad that, as the script says, that they're not able to just think, okay, what might this be like for Zephany? And actually, what might it be like for Zephany, Miche, to see us celebrating her beloved mum being sent to prison.
And she's told them specifically, I still love this person. I still see them as my mum.
Yeah.
It's just tone deaf. In the weeks following the trial, Miche started to feel more and more used to Mornay and Celeste. They continued to profit from their story, and she claims that they regularly cried crocodile tears in front of the cameras, but didn't put in any effort to get to know her. Quote, I can't count on them as parents. I really can't. It's pointless. The fact that they tell the media, I want my child, and they cry, but in reality it's not like that. No one would message me for months to even ask how I was doing, or things like that. Look, you're 18. If I was in her position, I'd be like, well, my dad didn't do anything wrong, so I'm just going to see him as my dad, and I'm going to be angry at my fake mum in prison. But it's her choice as an adult. Like, we can think whatever we like about it, but she's an adult now. She gets to make that decision for herself. The events that follow the trial literally took a book to explain in full, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. I can tell you that it included a lot of tears and a lot of family drama, and if you're interested in learning more, please do read Miche's book for yourself. I can say, though, that eventually, Miche and her biological parents found a middle ground. This was helped by the fact that Miche fell pregnant when she was 19, and again when she was 21, and Miche allowed Celeste to step up to be there when she needed her. In a way, Celeste got to give Miche's children all the love and attention that she'd saved for Zephany. It's great, but weird. Great, but weird. Because you're going to be real broken. Like, yeah. In the documentary Girl Taken, Mornay explains that when lockdown hit back in March 2019, no, 2020. Because COVID was late 2019. That must be a typo. He, Celeste, and Miche, Cassidy, Joshua, and Mika decided to spend that time locked up in the same house. It gave them the opportunity to be a family, and he and Celeste got remarried shortly after. However, Cassidy finally grew tired of the constant family drama, dropped out of high school, and moved out of the house. In an interview with the local magazine, she explains that she was a lot happier once she was allowed to be her own person. Miche regularly went to visit Lavona in prison, but from what I understand, their relationship was hurt by the fact that Miche was now a mum herself and had a better understanding for what Mornay and Celeste had gone through when Lavona kidnapped her. Oh yeah, you're going to be like, because you're going to understand. Now you have that, you can do that empathy properly. Ooh. Another complicating factor in today's story. Lavona still showed no remorse for what she'd done, and had at one point claimed that she'd do it all again. I mean, yeah, I can see why. Like, she got 10 years in prison, but she also got to raise a daughter. She probably sees it as worthwhile.
Yeah.
Wow. Miche also refused to allow her children to call Lavona Granny, since she felt that Celeste alone deserved that title. Michael also ended up asking Lavona for a divorce, when she continued to refuse to apologize for her actions. Miche decided to publicly reveal her identity when her book launched in August 2019. She's since become a bit of a celebrity in Cape Town and has appeared on numerous talk shows and podcasts to tell her side of the story. She also uses her platform to advocate for Remarkable, a support network founded by sisters, dreamers, and doers that aims to uplift women and encourage and support their communities in any way they can. Miche continued to live with Michael until her marriage in 2023. Both Michael and Mornay walked down the aisle, and both sides of the family attended the wedding. Lavona was released on parole that November, and Miche reportedly refused to see her at first. I haven't seen any follow-up reports, so I can't really say what happened next. Oh well, so she got out after 5 years, basically. But I do know that Miche is still out there living a life, and that she's happy. Which is a nice ending. I mean, for all of the insane, like, no one died. I mean, no one was murdered in today's episode. That's nice.
Yeah.
Just a light baby kidnapping.
This is much lighter than some of them.
I mean, I know this is a really bad story, but also yes. Dismembered appendices. Number 1. The name Zephany is said to be of Hebrew origin and means either treasure or hidden. Miche is supposed to mean the hidden one, and I've seen numerous sources point out how poetic it is that both her names mean to hide. Oh yeah, look, both of her names. Oh, that's ironic.
Really weird.
But I have no idea where they got the supposed meaning of Miche from, since it's derived from the name Michael, which means gift from God, or who is like God. Oh, okay, so it's just like, I bet someone wrote this once in like some article for like a really bad like tabloid newspaper or something, and then it just got picked up and recirculated as a fact. So way less interesting than we think. Number 2. The brochure I found on the late birth registration was part of the Department of Home Affairs mop-up campaign, which was launched because of the whole Zephany Nurse incident. As of the 31st of December 2015, the requirements for registering a late birth is a lot more tedious and includes appealing to a special panel. Well, I know it's tedious, but also good.
Yeah.
Love a little bit of bureaucracy when we're talking about people stealing each other's children. I mean, really happy to go through the steps on that one, guys.
To protect our kids.
3. A judge hearing Lavona's case quite naively stated that you can't buy a baby in South Africa. Oh, sorry, the judge. Yeah, this judge, I'm not sure what's up with him. But unfortunately, that's not quite true. Ooh, according to tears.co.za, a child disappears in South Africa every 5 hours. They're usually the victim. 5 hours?
Wow.
What? They're usually the victims of child trafficking and are sold as slaves, child brides for sexual exploitation, or in the tragic case of Jocelyn Smith, they're sold for their organs. No fucking shot. That's every 5 hours.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Wait, is that mad? Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
God damn. South Africa, get your shit together. What the hell? Although then someone will be like, Simon, in the UK, it's actually every three minutes. And you'd be like, okay, whatever.
Oh, God, stop
it's not my fault. And I'd equally tell the UK to get their shit together. But like...
Shit together.
Get your shit together. 5 hours? Hey, Siri, how often is a child kidnapped in the UK? It's never going to know. Yes, I want you to use ChatGPT. Always. ChatGPT's not idiot. Okay, there's 1,268 cases over 2 years, which is not 5 every hour.
Okay.
5 every hour.
No.
But also, that's probably including... I want to know, does that 5-hour figure include, like, the dad who's upset that he didn't get custody, so kidnapped the children for the weekend to take them to Center Parks or something like that? Because that's technically child abduction.
Yeah, I think this really varies from country to country. So I was doing a little bit of reading beforehand because I was curious to know how often it happened. And it was saying that actually, yeah, the vast majority of cases, particularly kind of in the West, are in custody battles and will be a family member kind of technically, kidnapping or abducting. So an abduction outside of the family in most kind of Western countries is incredibly rare. But I guess obviously in South Africa and I'm sure of other countries, there are much higher rates.
Yes, because there's a really big difference between being kidnapped to go to McDonald's for the afternoon and being kidnapped to be sold into child sexual slavery. Jesus. Moving on from that, Mickey Pistorius, the criminal profiler the police consulted when Zephany went missing, is a bit of a legend. She's responsible for the capture of more than 30 serial killers. Fucking shout out! Including the ABC killer, who we already did an episode on. Check it out after this one. She was recognized as one of the world's foremost psychological profilers by FBI agent Robert Ressler, and trained 2 other criminal profilers that have already been mentioned in this channel, namely Gerard Labuschagne and Elmarie Myberg. There's even a television show based on her life called Catch Me a Killer, which is based on a biography of the same name, as well as the French documentary based on her life called Mickey Le Venoir. And you could check those out if you want to. That's the end of the episode. We did it.
We did.
All right. Didn't another one soon?
Yeah, sure.
Grand. I'll look forward to it. And on that bombshell, that's it. Leave a review if you like the show. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys.